وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. How is everyone? Alhamdulillah. Last third of Ramadan has approached. Alhamdulillah, we're in these blessed days and nights of Ramadan, so make the most of them, inshallah ta'ala. Time to roll up the sleeves, as they say, not relax, but put that little bit more effort in, push yourself a little bit more. Because once it's over, and we don't know if we're going to live again to the next Ramadan, and this opportunity is going to come again, alhamdulillah. So first of all, Hawqala, do you want to come to the front? Bismillah. You can't see you back there, mashallah. So alhamdulillah, we went through the initial part up to ayah 24, as it says there, of Surah Yusuf alayhi salam. And we talked about the introduction, the dream, kind of few lessons to learn from that, social kind of interactions, and the plan and plot that resulted by the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam, and the fake blood on the shirt, and throwing him into the well, and then the caravan taking him to Egypt, and him being sold into this noble household and being looked after. And then we went into the whole challenges he faced, or the first major, well, not the first one, but one of the challenges he faced, which was the lady he was living with was seducing him, tempting him, and tried to encourage him to do the wrong thing. He resisted, and they both ran. And that's where we were at, them running, Yusuf alayhi salam running, and her following him. Right, that's where we're at. So we'll continue from there, because we've got a lot to get through, inshallah ta'ala. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَاسْتَبَقَا الْبَابِ. They both raced for the door, like each other, so it's like a race, right? When they both rushed for the door. استبقا الباب. وقدت, and she tore قميصه, his shirt. So she's the one that grabbed him and tore his shirt. So she grabbed him from min dubarin or duburin, from the back, from behind. Duburi kulli salah, after, the back of every salah. There's many hadith that use the word dubur. وَأَلْفَيَا سَيِّدَهَا لَدَى الْبَابِ. Did you change the sound? Does the sound change? It felt like somebody's missing. Is somebody in? Is it Fraz in there? Okay, he's changing it. Okay. وَأَلْفَيَا, and they both found. وَجَدَ. Al-faya is from Af'al al-Wujdan. Al-faya. They both found. Says two of them. What did they both find? Sayyidaha, her master, ladal bab. And it could have said the husband, the Aziz, but again Allah chose the word Sayyidaha, her master, to show the relationship at that time. You know, who's going to be affected by this? He's probably the one. He is the one, the father of the household, the husband, who's going to be in the most biggest kind of predicament. You know, like, what do I do at this, right? This is something that is very problematic for me and for our family, right? So Sayyid is here, the one in charge of the family. Ladal bab, at the door, right at the door, meaning he was really close, he was about to come in. So brilliant timing for Yusuf alayhi salam. He's saved, right? But look how it happens. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't know what to say. Imagine the scene, what do I say? So he doesn't want to say anything. He keep quiet, just, don't say anything. Let's move on. He doesn't want to speak. So when he speaks here, it's not out of desire and will and wanting to say anything. She speaks first, and she says, قالت ما جزاء من أراد بأهلك سوء. What should be the reward of somebody who desires? What should be the recompense of the one who desires with your family? So they're speaking to her master now, the husband, the father, the head of the household. Any evil, su, some kind of bad thing. Illa an yusjana, except that person. I pressed the wrong button there. 1 second, let's go back. Illa an yusjana, except that he should be imprisoned, sijn. Or adhabun alim, or a painful punishment should be afflicted, carried out upon that person. Okay, so he's now, Yusuf alayhi salam has been falsely accused. Another trial on top of what he's going through. And trust me, it's hard to sometimes convey the feelings and emotions, right? But there is a lot there, right? Anybody like a false accusation against them? Yeah, accuse me falsely. No. And even the smallest misinformation about you, you correct it. No, it's not like that, it's like this. And we all want to, people to talk about us properly. That's not how you pronounce my name. People get upset about just the pronunciation of their name. So imagine being falsely accused. We can't really imagine it, but it does hurt us immensely and gets you riled up even, and you want to lash out, whatever. So Yusuf Islam remained calm. He didn't want to make this into a scene, but he had to speak out to defend himself, to protect himself. So he said, he didn't really want to say it, by the way. This is not like he wanted to, tell the husband what happened. She exposed it all. She said it all, right? So he said, Qala, he said, Hiya, she's the one. Rawadatni, that tried to seduce me, tempt me. Rawadat, yurawidu, to tempt, seduce. That's the common word for it in Arabic. And nafsi, to get to me, right? To make me succumb to her, in other words. وَشَهِدَ شَاهِدٌ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا, and a witness saw this, was shahida, to be present and to bear testimony and to witness with your eyes. So a shahid, a witness, was present and saw what she did from her family. So I'm not just saying it, I've got a witness as well, I've got proof, because he had to present his case, can't just make accusations. He already says, look, there is proof, there is a witness. Who was the witness? Sorry? It could have been that, but who more important than the relationship? I don't know what you actually said. You said the son of her?
The son of
uncle, okay, fine. Anyone else know who it was? The more important thing? Hawkala? It was a child, a baby. Yep, young baby. That wouldn't be able, baby meaning non-speaking age. Okay? So there's a baby that can't speak, who's Yusuf Islam is presenting as the witness. Okay, so this is the reality of the situation. So miracles occurred for Yusuf Islam, right? Like they did for other prophets as well. So there's many miracles that occur throughout this story as well. We should mention that. Well, again, the shirt comes into question now. Okay, so the following is said by the witness. So in kana, if qamisuhu, his shirt is, who's saying this now? A baby. So it's already a miracle that a child is speaking. So that should have been enough for them to think, whoa, if the child speaking on behalf of Yusuf Islam, which is going to, and it didn't, again, the child didn't speak directly, like Yusuf's innocent, and that's the wisdom of Allah. Allah made the child speak, right? أَنْتَقَنَ اللَّهَ الَّذِي أَنْتَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ. Allah makes us speak. I was saying this last night. The limbs in your body on the Day of Judgment, the one that makes all things speak. So our limbs, hands, tongue, eyes, feet, legs, etc., will speak out, will bear witness to what we did with them. So we're going to make them speak in reality, but what we do now dictates what they will say on the Day of Judgment. We can't agree with them to say anything on the day, oh, you say this about me, you'll be saved. No, the limbs are going to speak the truth. Depends what we do now for them to say then. So this child says, if his shirt, in kana qamisuhu, qudda min qubul, if it's torn, qudda means to be torn, qadda means to tear something, that's the verb at the top. Qadda, she tore, qaddat. Arabic students should pick up this, right? Qadda, to tear something and tear it with a bit of force. Like not just normal, cut or tear, but like ripping a shirt, you can imagine what it means, right? Qaddat, she tore qamisa, his shirt. Now, the child doesn't say she tore, he tore, it says, if his shirt is torn. So passive verb, qudda, right? If his shirt is qudda, torn, min qubulin, from the front. So dubur was the back, qubul is from the front. Fasadaqat, then she's telling the truth, because he went for her and they faced each other, right? There was a face-off. وَهُوَ مِنَ الْكَاذِبِينَ, and he's telling lies. He's from, so actually no, look at the word used. Not he is a liar, he's from among the liars. He'll become among that category, not by saying he's a liar, right? وَإِنْ كَانَ قَمِيسُهُ, and if his shirt قُدَّ مِنْ دُبُرٍ, is torn from the back, فَكَذَبَتْ, she is a liar, or she has lied, her action is lying. وَهُوَ مِنَ الصَّادِقِينَ, and he is from among the truthful. And one of the elements of Yusuf alayhi salam, we're going to see him later be called As-Siddiq. So Yusuf alayhi salam is given the title As-Siddiq. I think I mentioned last week, if I didn't, I'll mention it now. The Prophet ﷺ said, the most truthful, asdaqukum, the most truthful, the same word, sidq, in your dreams, the more truer, clear, proper, blessed dreams, are those who are asdaqukum in their speech. So the more truthful you are in your speech, the more truthful, the more clear, the more correct your dreams are, i.e. the more blessed your dreams are. So dreams are related to your speech, to how truthful a person is. And sidq can also mean sincere as well, or dedicated, but it does in this hadith refer to speech, because it literally says speech. So the more truthful you are in word, the more your dreams will be correct and truthful. And Yusuf alayhi salam was of that category. So we know, and we're going to come on to that in a second, that they'll find out where his shore is turned from, but we'll just talk about a few points here. And I'm going to make it a bit quicker now because we've got very little time until 3 o'clock. So it says, they got caught but still tried to make excuses, right? So we saw that, and she made false accusations. Yusuf only said something out of self-defense and to tell the truth. So he wasn't after any kind of retaliation or revenge or that kind of attitude. He just spoke out, like we mentioned, to clarify, exonerate himself, clarify the truth, look at surrounding evidence. So he spoke, he mentioned there's a witness, but this witness was a baby, right? I mentioned a few other miracles of baby speaking. Isa alayhi salam himself spoke in the cradle as a baby. Jurayj, the worshipper, right? Jurayj, the worshipper, a baby spoke for him. Long story short, he got accused of adultery by a prostitute. This child is his. And the reason why he got accused of it was he didn't listen to his mother. His mother called him, Jurayj, come here, I need your help. He was playing nafal salah. And he didn't listen. He said, I'll finish my salah and then I'll go and listen to my mother and go and respond to her. So because he delayed, his mother said, may Allah humiliate Jurayj before he passes away, or I leave this world, kind of thing, right? So she just said it like, mothers say thing, or may he this, that, the other, right? So what happened? In the village there was a prostitute, and she came out with a child, and she said it's Jurayj's child. And Jurayj's a worshipper, pious man, and it was like, whoa, false accusation again, similar to this, right? So it was actually, I think, a tailor or something, that was the father. And that's, how do we know that? Because Jurayj was, like, what's happened here? Look, what's going on? And then he said, this is the result of the dua of my mother. I didn't respond to her straight away, so she said those words that we don't think are, mean anything. And now look at the result. I am actually humiliated. And so they brought the child, they brought him, Jurayj for, they wanted to basically beat him up. And the child spoke to prove the innocence of Jurayj, and he said, no, my father is so-and-so, and mentioned the real father. And everybody was, first of all, in awe, wow, look at that child speaking, amazing. And second of all, they had to let Jurayj go and realized he was innocent. So that was another example of when a child spoke. And the people of the ditch, anybody know that story? People of the ditch, it's in the Quran as well, isn't it? What surah is it in, Hawqala? Surah Buruj, Ashab al-Ukhdud, وهم على ما يفعلون بالمؤمنين شهود. Right, so النار ذات الوقود, right? Then the fire was lit for long. It's actually a beautiful story. It's too long to go through, but it's about the young man who they want to kill because he's calling people to La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Eventually they take him to a mountain. Allah throws the people to the mountain. He's fire. Take him into the sea. Allah drowns the people in the sea. He comes back to the king. He doesn't want to flee or anything. He tells the king, you can only kill me if you say Bismillah in the name of this boy's Lord, and fire an arrow at me and it'll kill me. So they do that, and everybody sees it happen. So everybody believes in the Lord of the boy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, rather than follow the king. He wants them, he's like a Fir'aun type character. He wants them to be punished, not follow the truth and follow him and worship him, kind of thing. So everybody embraces Islam. Everybody embraces Tawheed, right? And wants to follow the boy who's now dead, who's a martyr. And the king says, okay, if you don't go back to your old ways and worship idols and whatever, I'm going to throw you all into this ditch, this cauldron. They fill the ditch with oil, burning oil, and I'm going to throw you all in there. And they didn't resist, or they didn't give up. They were sincere, they were committed, and so the king started throwing them in one by one. Literally, everybody's being thrown into this ditch full of molten whatever, right? And people are being dissolved and killed. So a lady approaches along with everybody. She's her turn, and she's carrying a child. So she's thinking, as we would as mothers, as parents, you know what if I just say I'm no longer a believer, I don't follow the boy, I'll believe in idol worship and whatever to save my child, because this is a baby in my hands, right? So she's thinking of that. She doesn't do it, she's just thinking of that. And the child speaks, the baby, right? Again, a child that's maybe a year old can't speak, not a speaking age, and says, oh mother, don't worry, it's only a few moments. Don't worry, this is the test and trial. Once we jump, we fall in, we're pushed in, whatever happens, we'll be okay. So the child gives her that resilience and glad tidings that don't worry, this is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they're thrown in with the child included. And alhamdulillah, as we know, even with Dajjal, if you pick the hellfire, it'll turn into a garden. If you pick the garden, it will turn into punishment. So that's what happens for them. Allah doesn't, cause them to have any pain or hurt, and it saves them as they are thrown into this molten, metal, whatever it is they're thrown into. But that is referred to in Surah Buruj as the Ashab al-Ukhdud, the people of the ditch. And that story of, it's a longer story by the way, like I mentioned, there's a few parts to it if you like, but that's one part of it, the miracle of the child speaking. So there's 3 others, and this is another one. There is, I think, 1 or 2 others maybe. Anybody know another one? I think there's 5, 4, these are the ones I could remember. 3 here, and then 4th one in Surah Yusuf. There's a hadith that says 3, but in reality, if you add them all up, there's 5, I think, but I can't remember the 5th one. So again, a miracle to exonerate the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. So the shirt plays a role again. So let's look at that. فَلَمَّا رَأَى قَمِيصَهُ. So when he saw here means the man, the Sayyid, the one in charge of the household. قَمِيصَهُ قُدَّ مِن دُبُرٍ. That the shirt of Yusuf, his shirt, Yusuf's shirt, was torn from behind. قَالَ إِنَّ مِن كَيْدِكُنْ. Surely this is from your plotting here, meaning females. كَيْدِكُنَّ, the attached pronoun here refers to you, I. It was one person, but just he was being general, right? I, ladies. إِنَّ كَيْدَكُنَّ عَظِيمٌ. Surely your plotting, I, of ladies, is great. You go to great lengths to do things, right? You go to great lengths to get what you want. Is that true, ladies? No? You're good people, that's why. What they say in this regard, what they say is, I'm not trying to be sexist at all, okay? That ladies do, go, let's not say crazy or anything like that. They may do it very, very well calculated and planned and all of that, right? Kaid means planning and thinking out things and stuff, right? But when they want something, they're very clever, tenacious, It's a good thing in some ways, but they use it for whatever they want, i.e. even for wrong, they will go around and do a lot of things to get what they want. And yes, men are weak, so men will fall for their plots and plans and conspiracies and temptations, right? So, so who's the stronger gender then? The men or the women, right? Probably the women, to be honest, right? From not physical sense, of course, from other ways. Allah knows best. So he said this, he said, it's your fault, you trying this, etc. It doesn't mean all women are bad or anything like that. It just means that on that occasion, it's your fault, you did this, what am I supposed to do? Yusufu a'ridan hada. So this is the man saying this, right? Yusuf, forget about this. You know what? You were doing the right thing in the first place. Don't mention it. Let's just forget about it. We're going to put it under the carpet. As the father, the head of the household, husband, what do you want people to know this? Just keep it silent. Don't want anybody to know about this. وَاسْتَغْفِرِي لِذَنْبِكَ. And he then speaks to the lady, his wife. And you seek forgiveness. So this is the feminine form, right? أعرض is masculine for Yusuf. Istaghfiri is feminine for his wife. لِذَنْبِكِ, for your sin. Again, your sin here, ذَنْبِكِ, the kaf indicates I was speaking to her. إِنَّكِ كُنْتِ مِنَ الْخَاطِئِينَ. Surely you, O wife, his spouse, were from the wrongdoers. So he clearly calls that out and says, you were in the wrong, stop it, seek forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, let's call it a day, let's not let this get out. Full stop, change of scene, the ruku is there, so we change scene, okay? وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ. A group of ladies said, Niswa, ladies in the city said, إِمْرَأَةُ الْعَزِيزِ تُرَاوِدُ فَتَاهَا. That the wife of the Aziz is trying to seduce her young boy. Fatah now is used for Yusuf alayhi salam. So it's Fatan. Fatan means a young, strong man, late teens, early 20s would be considered a Fatah. the fitya, the plural, were the young men that went into the cave, right? The Surah Kahf story. And nafsihi, to seduce himself, right? To seduce him to give in to her. So this is not happening instantly after this. What we've got to understand here is once this happened, then there was a quiet period, right? Things went back to normal, nobody knew. The news was leaked, maybe she talked about it, she told her best friend or something. Maybe they knew it was happening, she was, they were meeting her and realizing how she was engaged in this or trying this. So she hadn't given up. The words here, to Rawi, they don't mean she is trying to seduce, right? So it's like this is her state right now, right? She is trying to get him to do stuff. قَدْ شَغَفَهَا حُبًّا. Shaghaf means to be like close to the heart, filled up to the heart, right? So her heart is filled with his love, means she's engrossed with him, just nothing else is in her mind. It's a level of love. Shaghaf is like a level of engrossment in love of something. It could be anything, could be food and drink, but for her it was him, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Inna lanaraha, we surely see her, fi dalalin mubin. The same word is used for Yaqub alayhi salam by his sons. You are fi dalalikal qadim, dalalin mubin. So again, it could mean she's misguided, she's wrong, but that doesn't make sense here. What she is she's lost in her love, this passionate love, she's blinding her, right? So this is what dalal can mean. It means a level of being lost, if you like, or not knowing what to do or where to go because of intense love for something. And that's what state which she was in. The shaghaf here indicates to that. And it's very clear as well. So that would indicate that she was not able to maybe hide it as well, because it's mubin. Right? So her friends, right? So these niswa, just generally ladies, but obviously people who knew her were saying this, right? So that's what's going on. Okay, that's not nice, by the way, right? فَلَمَّا سَمِعَتْ بِمَكْرِهِنَّ, when she heard about their makr, Allah calls their speech, their gossip, a plot. Makr, a plan. أرسلت إليهن, she sent a note to them, she invited them, she called them. وَاعْتَدَتْ لَهُنَّ مُتَّكَأً, and she prepared for them. I don't think it's وَاعْتَدَتْ, is it? Oh yeah, it is أعتدت, yeah. وَاعْتَدَتْ لَهُنَّ, and she prepared for them مُتَّكَأً, a place to sit, to relax. So muttaka could be like a party, if you like. So the thing you prepare for people to sit out, the food, the drink, all of that. Muttaka, it means to recline, to relax. Muttaki is the person. So ana muttaki'un, I'm relaxing like this, right? You chill out, you recline. Ittika is to recline as well, right? So it indicates to that she's put out a nice, setting for them, a nice, chilling, time for them. And so she's invited them, they've come, they've got this nice, relaxed time, basically have a good time together. وَآتَتْ, and then she gave كُلَّ وَاحِدَةٍ مِّنْهُنَّ, every one of them, سِكِّينًا, a knife. And the interesting thing here is when this surah was revealed, or when Sayyidina Abu Hurairah read this surah, I would say, because it may not have been revealed at that time, he read it, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, what is a sikkeen? Now you would say a sikkeen is a knife, we know what this means. But this wasn't the normal dialect, or the word sikkeen was not used commonly. It was a rare use of a word, of an Arabic word. The more common word for knife, and this became the common word because of the Quran, right? In that time for the Quraysh, they used the word muddiya. The muddiyatun was a knife, muddiya, right? So it had the word been muddiya, it's a knife, straightforward. Sikkeen is a classical Arabic word, it's also another word for a knife, was more used in other parts of Arabia, it's a normal Arabic word. What it shows is the Quran was revealed including words from different tribes, so they could all be familiar with the Quran, or they had a connection to the Quran. So they can say, oh, Allah chose, our word, right? So the Quran was being revealed to the Arabian Peninsula initially. So all of them were given a knife. وَقَالَتِ اخْرُجْ عَلَيْهِنَّ, so then she said to him, to Yusuf alayhi salam, ukhruj, go out to them. So all of this is happening not instantly, like one thing, right? Remember, it's all in stages, but this is a summary of it all, right? So, she called them, she prepared, then they arrived, and they sat down, then, he was there serving and stuff, he was in, even they have no idea what was going on, but she had a plan, etc. So she wanted them to see what it's all about. They haven't seen Yusuf alayhi salam, right? And they're only going to see him this one moment and watch what's going to happen. Or what do you expect from me who's with him all the time? So she's trying to justify, if you like, her position. Not that it's justified, she's trying to. فَلَمَّا رَأَيْنَهُ, and when they all, so the females, saw him, أَكْبَرْنَهُ, they were in awe of him. They regarded him as something amazing, great. أَكْبَرْنَ الشَّيْء, to think of it as kabir. They think this is amazing. Kabir is in the sense of great and amazing, not just physically big. وَقَطَّعْنَا أَيْدِيَهُنَّ, and they started to cut themselves, their hands, and they didn't feel any pain. They didn't realize what was going on. وَقُلْنَا, and they said, حَاشَ لِلَّهِ مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا, far be it from Allah, that Allah is unblemished. This is not a human being. مَا هَذَا بَشَرًا, this person, Yusuf alayhi salam, nope, this can't be human. إِنْ هَذَا إِلَّا مَلَكٌ كَرِيمٌ, he is only a noble angel. This is what they said after seeing Yusuf just once, alayhi salam. I've got you now, she says, right? قالت, the lady says, فَذَلِكُنَّ, and that, الَّذِي لُمْتُنَّنِي فِيهِ, is what you were reproaching me for. In other words, you couldn't bear one moment and you were cutting your hands, right? They saw their hands were being cut and they were like, what's going on? And look at what your reaction was, and that's what you're blaming me for. So she was trying to get a bit of, self, like I said, justification. وَلَقَدْ رَاوَدتُّهُ, and I did indeed try to seduce him عن نفسه, from himself, like, entice him. لكن فاستعصم, but he was instantly famine straight away. He wasn't like, he didn't delay. فاستعصم, he was instantly firm. It's isma, right? The prophets have isma. He himself was firm and didn't budge. وَلَئِن لَمْ يَفْعَلْ, but if he doesn't now do, يَفْعَلْ مَا آمُرُهُ, what I'm going to command him, لَيُسْجَنَنَّ, then surely, without doubt, he's going to be jailed. وَلَيَكُونًا مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ, and he'll be among the humiliated. So she's decided that, say, I'm going to now take it to another level and we're going to make him do something bad. So what do you do now? There's a group of them, they're all alone. The Sayyid isn't going to come, is it? You call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the lady had been with Yusuf in the same household, right? The other ladies merely saw him once. Look at their reaction. The ladies must have tried to avoid this, but eventually succumbed. So it's been a while. So don't think this just happened the day after her husband told her and him and her, Yusuf alayhi salam, and her to forget about it, move on, seek forgiveness. There was, like I said, a time period. And the thing is, how much must she feel when the gossip is going around? It's hurting. I mean, she's guilty to some degree. But even when you're guilty, you don't like people talking about you and gossiping about you and embarrassing you, right? So she wanted to, in some ways, explain and justify, and even somewhat, not revenge necessarily, but kind of shut down her friends and the gossipers, right? So she said, let me sort them out, right? So she was on her own personal mission, which is all wrong, right? All of what she wanted was haram and wrong. She expressed how hurt she is by the gossip, but people don't realize the challenges faced. So she's saying that this is what you're blaming me for. You don't realize what I'm going through to try to be, good, right? So this is the thing that, if you look at her story, aside from the Quran, doesn't mention her story in the Quran, but if you look at the hadith or the reports that we have, she does repent from this. She does become a pious lady, and supposedly marries Yusuf alayhi salam afterwards as well. But she is trying in all of this to avoid the sin and avoid disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, something that's clearly mentioned about her. So Yusuf alayhi salam, this is the lessons we got to learn from him. He realizes, now I need the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The difficulties got greater. So he says, قَالَ, he said, Yusuf alayhi salam responds to the situation where he sees what's going on. رَبِّ السِّجْنُ أَحَبُّ إِلَيَّ, oh my Lord, prison is more beloved to me, مِمَّا يَدْعُونَنِي إِلَيْهِ, than what they call me to. I'll go to jail, then do what they're asking me to do. وَإِلَّا تَصْرِفْ عَنِّي كَيْدَهُنَّ, if you don't push away, if you don't get away their plot and plans with me, أصب إليهن, I'll, أصب, go to them, إليهن وأكن من الجاهلين, and I'll be from among the wrongdoers, right? The jahilin here means not just ignorant, it means the wrongdoers, like those who do things without understanding, I do wrong. Again, what does that mean? It means that I will, one opinion is that I will succumb, but another is that I will physically have to do something, I will harm them, I don't want to get to that level. So help me, get me out of here, right? So he called upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A lesson for us: when you're in difficulty, temptation, nobody can help you except Allah anyway, but you sometimes realize that. And that's really important, to call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you in times of need and difficulty, but in times of trying to avoid sin. So often we forget this. We try to rely on ourselves. I'll be good, it's Ramadan, I'll be consistent or resilient. Allah is the one who gives us strength. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So call upon Allah for obedience. The Prophet would make a regular dua after salah. Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, or Allahumma ya musarrif al-qulub, sarrif qalbi ala ta'atik. Oh Allah, the one that controls the hearts, moves the hearts, move my heart to your obedience. And in other words, give me the strength to be obedient, because you're the one in control. So this is what Yusuf alayhi salam was asking for. The Prophet made this dua: Allahumma ya musarrif al-qulub, sarrif qalbi ala ta'atik. فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ, his Lord answered his prayer. فَصَرَفَ عَنْهُ كَيْدَهُنْ, and pushed away their plan and plot. So we didn't say what happened, etc. I've got time to go through all of these details, what's said. But he was able to stay away from them. People came in, they all just kind of went quiet again, and he was safe. إِنَّهُ هُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ, surely Allah is the one that hears all and knows all, is all hearing, all knowing. ثُمَّ بَدَا لَهُم مِّن بَعْدِ مَا رَأَوْا الْآيَاتِ. Then, so thumma here means a long time. Thumma doesn't mean instantly. So like I said, things died down, went calm again, nobody's talking about it, or it's gone quiet. But then later on, they decided, it appeared to them, they thought, what, maybe it's better that we put Yusuf alayhi salam in jail. So they decide. Who's deciding this? The father, the husband, the leaders, maybe her and him together. Look, I'm your wife, he's going to keep doing this, that, the other. Maybe the husband thought, it's probably safer for Yusuf Islam and us, what we're going to do otherwise. They didn't want to lose him by, this is the thing. The father, the husband, the one in charge, he saw, as we saw earlier, when he brought Yusuf Islam to the house, he really loved him. And everybody who had Yusuf Islam in their custody, in their care, didn't want to let him go. This was everybody, by the way. This was the nature of Yusuf alayhi salam. We're going to learn later that his aunt, his father's, Yaqub's sister, was the carer of Yusuf alayhi salam when he was a baby, because Yusuf alayhi salam's mother passed away, his biological mother. So she didn't want to let him go back to Yaqub alayhi salam when he got older. No, he's going to stay with me. I'm his aunt. I want to be his official carer. And she did something to keep him in his care, which we'll talk about later. So they like him. They know he's a good person, right? It says, min ba'di. So when did they decide this? After ma ra'awul ayati, they saw the signs. So signs here means various, signals, if you like. La yusjanunnahu hatta hin. That it's better that we keep him in prison until a certain time, for a period of time. Okay, so here's some lessons to learn. Option of jail or major disorder. I put major because maybe, simple things aren't to be called for to go to jail. But yeah, if it's a big thing, you're going to violate the commands of Allah, or you're going to face jail time or hardship, then sometimes not sometimes, but most of the time, we should be trying to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, called upon Allah for strength, answered dua, but not going to be easy. Okay, so, he's asking him for jail, right? So if your dua is answered, Yusuf al-Islam knows it's not going to be easy. If I'm protected from this, that I will easily get into the next stage of life and move on. It's always a challenge around the corner. So therefore we must learn to endure and have sabr, right? So endure is a better word than have patience, right? Endure means constantly be resilient, have strength, persevere. وَدَخَلَ مَعَهُ سِجْنًا. So we move to the next scene now. After they decided all of this, what happens? They take him to jail. So it's happening over a long period of time, not one day, next day this, next day that. The story is running about 10 days. Many years are passing by, months and years between these various events. Like we said at the very beginning, we're only relating what's in the Quran. The story is being told in this way to get the lessons, the main points, the details that maybe have not been mentioned in previous scriptures, right? So this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to learn from. وَدَخَلَ مَعَ سِجْنٍ فَتَيَانٍ. So two young, strong men also entered the prison at the same time as him. Okay, so he was put in there falsely. These two were in for whatever other reasons. قَالَ أَحَدُهُمَا. One of them said, إِنِّي أَرَانِي. I have seen in a dream myself. أَعْصِرُ خَمْرًا. Pressing wine. There's a play on words here or something going on here. Do you press wine? Do you get the wine and press it? No, what do you press? Grapes. Okay, so this is a metaphorical expression in Arabic. It's called majaz mursal bi'atibari ma sayakun. You mention what the thing is going to be. So the grapes are going to be wine. So I'm pressing wine. Makes sense in Arabic, in English. We're not pressing it. We don't understand that you mean I'm pressing grapes to make them into wine. So it's metaphorical, but the relationship is you're mentioning what it's going to be. You can do it the other way around. You can mention something, it was. I can't think of that example right now. But there are many examples of this type of language in the Quran. So this is what he saw. He saw himself pressing wine. What does that mean? وقال الآخر, and the other one said, إني أراني أحمل فوق رأسي خبزا. I see myself carrying above my head bread, khubz. تأكل الطير منه, that the birds are eating from. So on top of my head there's bread and they're eating from it. نبئنا بتأويله, tell us about its interpretation, explain it to us. إنا نراك من المحسنين, we see you. So Yusuf al-Islam obviously being who he was, we see you from among the good doers. You're a good person, we actually think what's going on. So they realize Yusuf al-Islam, you shouldn't really be here. That's a hint there, by the way. You're the good doer. It's not befitting of you to be here, and hence maybe the people knew what was going on. And remember, Yusuf al-Islam, although again that's something that's summarized, it was mentioned before, we need to maybe reiterate it now, has grown into adulthood, is now a prophet, right? He's going to call these people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But remember, he's been given knowledge and wisdom and interpretation of dreams. It's not just a gift, it's a skill, it's a blessing, it's going to allow him to have, as we're going to see, a lot of power and status in Egypt, and ultimately become one of the main leaders of Egypt. قال لا يأتيكما طعام ترزقانه إلا نبأتكما بتأويله قبل أن يأتيكما. He said, your food will not come to you that you're going to eat, except that I will tell you about its interpretation before you get your food. ذلكما مما علمني ربي. That is from what my Lord has taught me. Again, recognizing that this interpretation coming is not from my own personal, abilities and strength and efforts. It's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I recognize. إِنِّي تَرَكْتُ مِلَّةَ قَوْمٍ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. I've left a people behind that don't believe. Okay. بِاللَّهِ وَهُمْ بِالْآخِرَةِ هُمْ كَافِرُونَ. So around Yaqub al-Islam, the people of Canaan, they weren't all believers. That's why he was sent to them. Yusuf al-Islam was from the same people. So around them there was shirk. There was people who disbelieved in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they didn't believe in the akhirah. They denied resurrection. So again, in the prison as well, in Egypt, there was all the forms of shirk and disbelief. So he decided, as you can see, straight away to call them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, he took the opportunity to guide people and to help people and to advise them, realizing they're young people and they want advice. And I will, mention this. And he carries on, but we'll talk about this. Take opportunities, as I'm mentioning, right? Prison might be seen as doom and gloom, but you need to find some goodness in there, yeah. So when you are put through a difficulty, it can seem very depressing and heartbreaking and hurtful and anxieties and grieving, whatever. But try and find some positives. Try and find something productive to do, like get active and help somebody, right? So Yusuf al-Islam was like not sitting in jail, mourning and crying about the situation and frustrated. He found something to do, and that's although the Quran says he called these two people in the outside of the Quran, the Hadith and stuff. He actually mentions that in the Tafsirs and commentaries. He became, again, like we said earlier, a very beloved person in the prison. Even the prison guards loved him and talked to him, and he was helpful to other people. He was calling them to Islam, to Tawheed. So he became a very loved person and a friendly person in the prison, and he used his position and time there to help people. So help others who are around you wherever you are. Yusuf al-Islam, falsely accused, in jail, could be crying about a situation. No, he's trying to help other people and guide them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Key element of the conversation, introduce yourself. What did Yusuf al-Islam say? Do this, do that. No, he said, I'm from a people that continues, by the way. He's going to mention who his father is. I'm Yaqub al-Islam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ishaq alayhi salam, right? He mentions this. So introduce yourself. The Prophet did. I'm from Quraysh. I have a lineage. This is what I'm known for. I'm not known for this, right? So the Prophet is known as a truthful person. So when you know somebody, then you should realize that they are truthful. And this is really important for us and our iman, if you like. Why? Because if we know the Prophet ﷺ, we'll believe in him. And because we don't know the Prophet ﷺ, our faith is weak. How's that? Ultimately, belief is... Okay, let me ask you this question. Can you believe in what you know in? Or can you know what you believe? Yeah. They both go hand in hand. So, I won't say like that, I was going to say, so let's say, do you believe you're here? Okay, let me say, do you believe that your parents are your parents, or do you know that your parents are your parents? Believe. Now you should know. Just your birth certificate, right? You know your parents are your parents. You don't believe it, you know it, right? So there's a difference between knowing something and believing something. I had to be very, vivid in that so you can understand the difference, right? But, so when we don't know something, then we think, okay, is it true or not? Right? We might believe in it and we might not believe in it, okay? What is going to help us believe in something we don't know? Learning about it, evidence, yep. One of the major things is the person telling us. If I don't trust the person telling me, am I going to believe what he or she says? No. The more trust I have and belief I have or know them and trust in them, the more I can accept. Like if somebody comes to you and says, this is wrong, this is happening, you say, who's this person telling me? I better be careful. I don't trust that person. But if somebody you know, sincere, loving, your family member says, oh, come and help me, this is happening, you believe them straight away because of the relationship, the trust. You see what I'm getting to here? What's our relationship with the Prophet ﷺ? Right? How much do we know him to have that relationship of trust? So that's what belief is, by the way. Iman, amana, comes from trust, right? To believe in somebody, to trust their word, if you like, right? And we should, that's it, how do we build this? This is one of the beauties of, the words of the Prophet ﷺ. They weren't just words. How many prophecies has he made, ﷺ? Hundreds, thousands probably, right? This is why we should learn about the end of times. He told us so many different things, right? The fact that the Quran is revealed to him, he hasn't got any contradictions. He told us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's got so many miracles. This knowledge of the Quran, this knowledge of all the things the Prophet said that's going to happen throughout, time, through end of times, etc., is all coming true to the words he was saying. And not only that, he's made so many prophecies, which only increases the chances of mistakes, wrongs. The more you say, the more likely you're going to get something wrong. And yet, everything he said is actually coming out to be correct and true. Even the weak hadith are becoming true, right? Even there's so many weak hadith about, because the chains of transmission, it doesn't mean the hadith are wrong or weak. It's just the chains of transmission are not as authentic as others. Yet even those hadith and what they say about end of times are coming to pass, and that's why the scholars included them. There's, we should know about this, in case it does happen, because we've got chains of transmission, albeit weak ones or not as strong as others. So what does that tell us? SubhanAllah, look, he's said so many things to us, prophecies, so many, details of the akhirah, and they're all coming true, right? They're all happening as he describes, and they're continuing. Some examples, right? Competing and raising tall buildings, that's a clear one, right? We've seen that clearly, and it's still happening. That's one of the signs of the end of times, in terms of the mass communication in the world. The Prophet said these things, right? He said, your thigh will communicate to you, a man will leave his home and talk to his family from far away. At the foot of a man will speak to him, or communicate with him, etc. So you'll travel long distances in short times, and the Prophet described vehicles as spanning 60 cubits wide and stuff like this, because if he was literally saying there'll be aeroplanes, there'll be flying objects transporting people would have found that weird at that time. So the Prophet used words that we look at now and think, oh, that's describing an aeroplane, that's describing a vehicle, that's describing communication today in the world, right? So there's so many things that are happening that actually the hadith tell us, the things in society that are happening, the trends we see, you know, so many things. I don't want to open the door to all those discussions, but again, read up on the end signs of the end of times, so the minor and major signs as well. So what I'm referring to mainly here is the minor ones, not the major ones. There's lots of them. So there's loads and loads of minor signs, as they call them, alamat sughra, of the Day of Judgment. But a huge topic. What's it going to help us with? The Prophet said so many things, and all of this coming true. We already believe in him and trust him, but it's going to consolidate that faith and really help us, understand that he is a true Prophet ﷺ, and everything he says is not from women desire, it's from revelation. Of course, we have the Quran, which, although not the words of the Prophet ﷺ, we do have to trust him to believe it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we say we believe the Quran is from Allah, we're saying we believe the Prophet ﷺ is telling us the truth, because he wouldn't lie. And by the way, all his people knew that as well. So by knowing the character of the Prophet ﷺ and who he was, ﷺ, we can see that nobody called him a liar. Nobody believed him. They called him a liar, actually, falsely. But even when they did that, they actually, it says in their discussions, nobody's going to believe he's a liar because he's never told a lie. It's not going to work. So the one they actually went with was like madman, because he's not a magician. Nobody knows him for sorcery magician, and nobody knows him to be a knowledgeable person, so we can't call him knowledgeable. So the only one that kind of sticks is he's crazy, he wants to turn away from us, our parents, our forefathers, and this, that, the other, let's accuse him. So many accusations were made, but that was the one they tried to, magic has been done on him, right? He's been misguided, etc. So they thought that one is probably the most likely in their estimation to stick. But they really knew deep down, they said it themselves, he's a truthful person and he's calling us the truth. And even some of them said to the Quraysh, and we'll see this in Yusuf al-Islam's story, and the brothers of Yusuf Islam should have done this, let's put it that way, that follow him, because if you follow him as Quraysh, although you'll be under his leadership, you'll be successful, you'll have the glory that he's going to achieve, because they saw him as a person who's going to achieve glory, status, and accomplish his mission, because he's on the truth and he's very firm on the truth, alayhi salatu wasalam. So they saw that from him. So the more we learn about him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what he said, and the Quran itself, the more our iman will become stronger, and we'll realize that trust is there, that knowledge, or that more knowledge we have, the more we can know and have a stronger belief that this is all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not just actually for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for all the prophets. And it's the same relationship we have with all the prophets and their miracles. That's another thing, right? How are the prophets truthful, or how do they convey or prove to people that they're truthful? One of the ways, is by miracles as well. Hence, learning about miracles gives us reasons to believe in the prophets. Yeah, exactly that. That's what miracles were sent for, to give prophets a proof, an argument, a hujjah, some kind of testimony, if you like, a hujjah, that I am speaking on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is helping me. How? Watch the sea split apart, watch the moon split in half. I'm going to cure the sick. Here's a bird made of clay, it's going to be given life. Not by me, Allah's doing it. So the Prophet said this is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's going to do this for us, to tell you all, he's backing us. We're representing him. Anybody else try and do it? Bismillah, challenge us, right? So the challenge was there. Bring the like of the Quran. The sorcerers, I'm going to turn this wood into a snake. What are you going to do? They did illusions, and when Musa alayhi salam's snake ate up theirs, they're like, oh, this is real, this is not magic, this is from Allah, he's got to have some divine power behind him. Yes, exactly that, they realized. So the first believers in Musa alayhi salam were the first enemies, or the biggest enemies, if you like, the sorcerers, after Fir'aun. And Fir'aun didn't like it, did he? So what did he do to the sorcerers, the ex-sorcerers? You know what he did? Chopped off one arm on the opposite leg and had him crucified, hung up as an example. If you believe in Musa alayhi salam, this is what happens to you. But they didn't waver. He told them, I'm going to cut you up, I'm going to punish you. And they said, nope, we believed in the Lord of Harun Musa, we're not going to change now. We're going to go through whatever you test. Again, example of resilience in faith. And so they were not only the first believers and first Sahaba of Musa alayhi salam, they were martyred as well, and they were given the shahada, the martyrdom, and that sacrifice without having done any, acts of worship. So all they did was repent or believe. To be honest, their belief was their repentance. Yet they became among the greatest followers of Musa alayhi salam. And look at the change. They went from being the biggest of enemies and his opponents to the best of his followers and martyrdom, right? So, and same in time of the Prophet ﷺ, there were big enemies, but the Prophet made dua for them. Some of them didn't change, of course, right? Some of them died in their kufr, but many of the leading people and enemies from the Quraysh against the Prophet ﷺ and Islam ended up becoming Muslims, and not only become Muslims that they were reluctant, no, they became very strong Muslims. They became Sahaba. They dedicated their lives to serving Islam and the Muslims, and making amends in their own kind of view of what they did earlier in their lives. Sayyidina Khalid ibn Walid was one of them, right? He realized that I'm doing wrong. I fought against the Prophet ﷺ. Uhud, what he did, right? You could blame him for that. That was, his previous life. He changed and became one of the greatest companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Right? So we need to understand that. So introduce yourself. I.e., the more you know somebody, the more you can trust in them, the more you can relate to them, the more you'll follow them. I.e., the prophets we're talking about here, right? So build a stronger connection to the prophets, learn more about the prophets. So that topic I mentioned, learn about the prophet, I meant the shama'il, learning about him as a truthful individual amongst society and a noble individual, a man of etiquette, a man of worship, a man of mercy, kindness. Learning the shama'il is what we need to do. So it's a huge part of our journey in Islam. Allah mentions in several parts of the Quran the need to learn about the Prophet ﷺ and know the Prophet ﷺ. Then put it that way, the more you know him, the more you will follow him and obey him and ultimately be saved. Why is that last word not covered? Kafirun, okay, it's just not covered, doesn't matter. Then he says to them, so like I said, he carries on, doesn't just say those few words. He says, وَاتَّبَعْتُ مِلَّةَ آبَائِ, but I followed the way of my forefathers. Again, Aba here means father, grandfather, great-grandfather, as you can see. Ibrahim, Ishaq, and Yaqub. So he mentions his lineage, that's his father, grandfather, great-grandfather. مَا كَانَ لَنَا أَن نُشْرِكَ بِاللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. It didn't befit us to associate anything whatsoever with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ذَلَكَ مِنْ فَضْلِ اللَّهِ. That is the bounty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alayna. So he recognizes that Allah blessed him and his forefathers with nubuwwah, right, with the guidance. وَعَلَى النَّاسِ, and amongst the people. وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. But most of people don't show gratitude, i.e., by acknowledging their Creator and worshipping Him. They want to deny, they want to live life, they want to enjoy themselves, right? And they live in rejection. Ya sahibai sijni, oh my two companions in the prison, right? He's calling them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a kind address. Oh so and so, oh my dear friends, right? It's like being kind to them, endearing, engaging them. Arbabun mutafarriquna, or multiple split up, scattered lords, gods, arbab is plural of Rabb. Khayrun, better, amillahul wahidul qahhar, or Allah the one, the all-powerful, the subduer, the qahhar, the overwhelming, the overpowering, right? He's in control, nobody else, in the words, not multiple gods that share things. ما تعبدون من دونه إلا أسماء سميتموها. You do not worship. So we can see that they were from a people that were not people of Tawheed. You do not worship except names, asma'an, i.e. titles, things you've made up. سميتموها, that you've made up, that you've named and made up and put together. أنتم وآباؤكم, and your forefathers. Again, not just your dad or mom, the pre-ancestors. ما أنزل الله بها من سلطان. Allah has not sent down any authority for what you do. So you're not following revelation and guidance, you're just following people that were doing stuff, and they got it wrong, by the way. I'm telling you that. Maybe they got it right as well, so just because somebody's doing something doesn't make it right or wrong. But if somebody's doing something and he has no basis anywhere, no proof anywhere, no guidance behind it, it's just a person's action, which a lot of us do sometimes even today. I saw so-and-so do it, and I'm thinking to myself, what makes him or her, the yardstick for doing something or not, right? Follow the Quran and Sunnah, follow the guidance of the scholars and the explanation of the Quran and Sunnah. Don't follow something you see in the masjid or somebody do, right? Don't model your prayer on somebody else. Unless they're telling you and teaching you this is how the Prophet prayed and how the hadith tell us, right? So knowledge is important, not just following people. Or let's say following people of knowledge is important. That's a better way of saying it. إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ. The command, the rulings, the things we should be doing, or from what we should be doing is from Allah. If He's commanded us to worship Him alone, that's what we've got to do. أَمَرَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ. He's commanded us, His hukm is that we don't worship anybody besides Him. ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ الْقَيِّمُ. That's the upright faith. That's the right way of living life. In other words, what you're doing. But look at the approach. It's not saying you are wrong and you are this. No. What you and your forefathers have done is not guidance, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that reveals guidance. In other words, what He's telling them is, look, You've only got information from people. If you actually go to revelation from Allah, go and search for that, and I'm telling you I have that, then you'll find that there's a real truth out there. So guide people to revelation, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Most people don't know. They don't want to know. يَا صَاحِبَ السِّجْنِ, all my two companions in the prison. Now he tells them about their dreams. Okay, what's going to happen and what it means. And look how he says it, أَمَّا أَحَدُكُمَا, as for one of you. He doesn't point the person out. So he says one of you. فَيَسْقِي رَبَّهُ خَمْرًا, he'll give wine to drink, or pour wine if you like, سَقَى يَسْقِي, to his Lord, i.e. the king. وَأَمَّا الْآخَرُ, as for the other, فَيُصْلَبُ, he will be crucified. صلب. فَتَأْكُلُ الطَّيْرُ مِنْ رَأْسِهِ, and the birds will eat from his head. That's what's going to happen to him. قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ الَّذِي فِيهِ تَسْتَفْتِيَانِ, the matter you're asking about has been decreed, has been decided, it's done, can't change. قُضِيَ is done, understood. That you are تَسْتَفْتِيَانِ, that you're seeking fatwa in. Istifta is to seek clarity, if you like. We say fatwa, seek a ruling, it means to seek clarity. Fata, yaftu, to become clear. Istafta, he sought clarity from somebody else, right? So that's what the meaning of a mufti is. A mufti is the provider of clarity. That's what it literally means linguistically. It's used in Islam to refer to a scholar or a jurist in particular who can give you clarity over a legal situation, not a theological situation, not a spiritual situation. A legal, like, is my prayer valid or not? Is this talaq or not? How much zakat do I have to pay? What's the inheritance? Is this transaction halal or haram? How does it work, right? These legal rulings, the term that we use in Islam for that person who clarifies them is mufti. The one seeking the clarification is called the mustafti. They were tastaftiyan, right? So it's from the same root. To seek clarity, istifta, and to give clarity, ifta. Right? Ifta is the act of giving fatwa. And fatwa is the clarity given, the ruling, the verdict. Okay, we've got a few more words to read first. وَقَالَ الَّذِي ظَنَّ أَنَّهُ نَاجٍ مِّنْهُمَا, and he said to the one, so Yusuf alayhi salam said to the one, he thought, now there's two interpretations, he knew. Dhanna can mean he knew that was going to be successful. Dhanna can mean he thought was going to be successful, i.e. saved from the two. So he wasn't sure whose dream was for who, by the way. So this is the thing. You may see a dream and it's for somebody else. So the dream, the one saw about the bird eating from his head, and the other one saw a dream of him pressing wine. It might not have been for them, it might have been for each other. So Yusuf alayhi salam wasn't sure, let's say, which one was going to be successful and saved from them. But he said to the one he thought would be, اذكرني عند ربك, mention me to your Lord. Remember the word Rabb is used here now for the kings, the leaders. Mention me to your Lord, i.e. to your king. You're going to be in the court of the king, you're going to have a position there. Mention me and my innocence and how I helped you in prison. And by the way, in the prison he was beloved, he was a liked person. He didn't have it like he was in isolation, had a hard time. Allah even in prison looked after Yusuf alayhi salam. Allah was latif, Allah was gentle to Yusuf alayhi salam even during that time. While he was in the well, Jibreel alayhi salam was with him, food was coming to him. While he was in the prison, don't think he was in a dungeon or something, like he was looked after, he was taken care of, even though he wouldn't want to be there and it's difficult, like being locked up. But there was lutaf, there was this subtle gentleness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's when somebody breaks your fall. I think, oh, thank you for saving me, right? You fell down still, but yeah, you think that, oh, I got saved, alhamdulillah, right? So there was this element of kindness and softness and lutf from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala within the prison as well for Yusuf alayhi salam. This says, فَأَنْسَاهُ الشَّيْطَانُ ذِكْرَ رَبِّهِ فَلَبِثَ فِي السِّجْنِ بِضْعَ سِنِينَ. But he forgot, or shaitan made him forget the mention of his Lord, and so he remained in the prison for a number of years. Bid'ah means from 3 to 9. So bid'ah, we know, the bid'ah with the dad, it means from 3 to 9 years, a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 9. So look at that. He didn't just like, tomorrow I'm going to be out. Many years now we know he was in jail, in prison, right? So who forgot to mention the Lord? There's two interpretations. Either shaitan made Yusuf alayhi salam forget, inshallah, mention me, and mention his Lord, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the obvious meaning and the more, the way it's being mentioned, the context is that shaitan made, Allah makes everything happen, but shaitan interfered in terms of cause and effect, as we talked about. Allah has causes and effects, not just does everything directly himself, doesn't say here, no, there's a fire, there's burning. No, there's a fire and there's burning. Or you feel satiated at iftar, you didn't eat anything, you just quench your thirst and you're satiated at iftar. Has that ever happened without having any food? Hopefully, one day, inshallah, miracles happen. That's what we call a miracle, by the way. Allah can create it for you, but not likely unless you're a pious saint, wali of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It can happen, by the way. And we should try to make it happen. Or we should just eat less, basically, is what I'm saying. Has anybody ever tried just having like one date and that's the iftar? Try, honestly, you'll have a beautiful night. You'll be really up for worship and everything. Have water though, because you might get a headache if you don't have water, right? But we don't need as much, food as we think, right? That's the whole idea of Ramadan. It teaches us we can do with less. We just compensate for it and, cancel it out, basically. We don't really learn the true meaning of the fast, unfortunately. But anyway, the cause and effect here is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah attributes and gives, the cause and effect their own roles. And you can say, the food gave me nutrition. You can say that. It's Allah that gave medicine cured me. You can say that, but what we mean is Allah granted me cure through the medicine, gives me nutrition through the food. Shaitan made us forget. Allah made us forget, but it's through the mechanism of a shaitan that it happened. Yeah, that's how Allah's plan is, how Allah's cause and effect is. So shaitan made this man forget to mention Yusuf alayhi salam once he got out. I was in a jail. There's this amazing man called Yusuf alayhi salam. He's been falsely accused. I think everybody knows he's falsely accused. He's helped me in this regard. He's knowledgeable. He can help us. He can be a good person in society. Mention me to the king, to others. No, I forgot. Right? So that's what happens. That's what Allah, again, that's Allah's decree as well. Although Yusuf alayhi salam was trying to get out and make a means. What did Allah want? No, you got to wait. It's not going to happen right now. So Allah made, it will happen, but Allah attributes it to shaitan, i.e. this is how the cause and effect works in life. How to help? Helping connect people to Allah is the best help you can give. So we mentioned earlier, help people take opportunities. Yusuf alayhi salam, throughout his stay in jail, was helping other people. The main help he gave them was guidance. He's a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by the way, there's a hadith where, it's a part of a longer hadith, but Jibreel alayhi salam is asked in the hadith, what would you like to do? What's the best action? What do you want to do if you had the chance to pick any good deed? And he said, to guide people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the job of the prophets, and they were given the best job, the best task in life. A job is a task, isn't it? You fix things, you build things, you type things, you service other people, you care for them, whatever, right? Jobs are jobs, they're actually giving services or providing some kind of physical activity, or ultimately that's going to help somebody, the other human beings. That's what gives things value in life. So what's the biggest value you could get in giving in life? Guidance, direction to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in other words, don't let these opportunities go by. Ramadan's that time. A lot of people, or maybe here even, right, but a lot of people try to change a little bit, make a little bit more effort. And here's the important thing, right? This is how I see it, and I think we should all need to take this approach. So please listen to me. Our dear brothers and sisters that struggle throughout the year, Ramadan proves to us more than them, right? Because they already know this. But we should learn this, right? That they're not bad people because they didn't pray for the rest of the year. They're not bad people because they weren't wearing the hijab, or they weren't, didn't have a beard, or they didn't do this or that, or they only put it on Ramadan. No, look at it from the other perspective. They've been struggling for 11 months to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And alhamdulillah, they fought that out and away, and they've managed now in the blessed month of Ramadan with what it brings to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, commend that, praise that, and do dua that Allah allows us and them to continue in His obedience. In other words, there's iman in the heart of these people that we should, recognize and, appreciate that they were struggling all that time. We all struggle as Muslims in different ways, right? Some more than others, of course, but that all depends on how much we are engaging with the faith and, learning, especially, right? So, take this time to encourage them to learn more, to get engaged more in the classes or gatherings and activities and events that, alhamdulillah, we are, now, alhamdulillah, in the 21st century, have a lot more opportunities than before. Maybe in the past, obviously, Muslims moving into this part of the world, and there was, maybe just the masjid opening was a big thing, right? And, having somewhere to meet as Muslims and pray together was amazing. But alhamdulillah, we've come a long way. We thank all those who've, helped in that infrastructure, but we're at a stage now where we really need to be helping others who are struggling as Muslims to, practice the faith, connect. And realizing that deep down in the heart of all these people is iman, and that's something very precious they have, and we should respect and honor and look after for them or help them as well with that. So that's how we should see it from my perspective, and help people as much as we can. That's a great service you could provide, and when you turn up on the Day of Judgment, that's the best one as well. What's going to get you the most rewards and the most blessings, and all of your investments in life. We work just to build a bank balance. We work, okay, we provide services, alhamdulillah, we looked after people, etc. They'll be rewarded, by the way. Doctors will have amazing rewards depending on intention, of course, right? Some doctors don't like their jobs and they hate the patients and they don't want to really care, don't care. So fair enough, okay, you don't get the rewards, you just get money, that's fine. But obviously, people in the care sector, etc., other sectors, they provide services, they care about people as well, they do it with good intentions, they'll get rewarded for that and paid for it as well, yeah. So pick jobs that have that kind of, good side to it, or providing goodness to the community through them, inshallah. But the best goodness you can provide is helping people get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, guiding people to obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to becoming more pious, more spiritual, more connected to their faith. That's what we should always try to, I know we need it ourselves, and some of us are thinking, I need all of that, what you're on about, telling me, to help other people, help me. Yes, you need help, and we all need help, and we all should try to seek help for ourselves, but doesn't mean we cannot help other people and try and nudge people in the right direction, inshallah ta'ala. This is a lesson we see from Yusuf alayhi salam. If a negative thing, don't be direct. So meaning if you're advising people in something that's negative, don't be direct. The Prophet was never direct. He would always go around and, honestly, being direct. As much as you think you're giving advice, I've had it as well, right? I had it recently as well, I won't say what happened. The brother so nicely was trying to say something, and I was like, that's not how you say it. That's not how you say it. And I didn't tell him, but I felt it. I was like, if he had said it differently, I would have loved him. I would have made du'as for him. Now I'm reluctant to make dua for him because of the way he said it. He's a good brother though, mashallah, right? So just how you advise people is important. If you want their buy-in and you want them to say, yes, of course, this, that, you want them to listen, you can't, directly engage them with what they don't want to hear, even though they maybe need to hear that. Maybe you can do it as a parent to the child, right? You're pretty direct there, and that might not work, by the way, so be careful. But with the general public, advising isn't, oh, why are you doing that for? You don't know that's haram. That person hates you now, and that person's biggest factor now is, oh Allah, remove the hate in my heart for this person. They're not worried about their sins, they just don't want to hate somebody because they're not bad people, like I said. You've made them double whammy, right? You made them think, fall into another trap. They've got a dislike for you because you advised them to do something good. How does that work? So you just, because you approached the situation in a negative way, you see what it's bringing about, more negativity. So Yusuf alayhi salam could have said, you're going to die and you're going to be the one that's crucified. Did he say that? How would you have felt? Oh, I'm going to die and I'm going to be crucified. Oh, you get out of here, Yusuf alayhi salam. What kind of bad person are you? What did he say? One of you, this is going to happen to, and one of you, this is going to happen to. He didn't want to directly engage somebody with this level of negativity. You're going to die and be crucified. I don't think it's wise, even if you know that, to say it to somebody, right? Obviously, Yusuf alayhi salam had revelation, he knew from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why I'm saying that the dhanna can mean he knew or he was not sure. It can be interpreted both ways. And that's what I'm referring to. So it's approach to things. Ask for help in return, but with a hint, not direct. So Yusuf alayhi salam didn't say, get me out of jail, what are you going to give me in return? He said, mention me to your Lord, mention me to the king, inshallah, right? He didn't say inshallah, that's what they say. Maybe he should have said inshallah. Don't make it your intention tit for tat. Don't make it like, oh, I've done this for you, now you've got to do something for me. No, do the good solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you do have a need, you might not have a need. You might need to ask for anything, so don't ask for anything. But if you do, and maybe you are in a bit of a difficult situation, you should, in a subtle way, indicate your need. These are genuine people that once you realize, the people on the receiving end, or the ones who should realize, you should help as much as possible, inshallah ta'ala. Why should you not be direct? Because Allah will help you. Remember, Allah is the one that's going to provide the help. And the means, the avenue that help's going to come from is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Inna Allah la yudi'u ajral muhsinin. Right? It's mentioned in this surah many times. The good doers, the muhsinin. So Allah is going to help you. So stay good, that's your goal. As long as you're good, the time of your relief for Yusuf alayhi salam to get out of prison, the time of ease and blessings will come. So remain on the path of obedience and goodness. That's what ultimately is your salvation. Change of scene, what happened in between? So now from Yusuf alayhi salam speaking to the men, telling them everything. All of a sudden, we move into this whole new scene, which is the king, right? وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ إِنِّي أَرَى. So what happened? This is what happened. Let's go back. What happened in between? The man leaves prison and goes back. Okay, let's do that. Goes back to life, eventually gets a job with the king. So this is many years. Remember we said 3 to 9 in the hadith. Yusuf remains in jail. In the books I'm reading, it said 7 to 12 years, right? For a further period of time, continuing to help people in the prison. So again, he's building relationships there. He's becoming known. People love him in the prison. Alhamdulillah, he's not having a tough time or a bad time. Allah's looking after him there, as much as the people falsely jailed him to get him away and whatever, thinking that he's making him the wrongdoer or appear as a wrongdoer. Allah looked after him just as he did in the well, in this circumstance as well. And then change of scene, curtains come up. What happens? The king's in the court, is speaking to people, and he says to them, I have seen 7 baqarat, 7 cows, siman, fat. يأكلهن سبع إجاف. They are being eaten up by 7 cows that are ijaf, that are skinny or emaciated, ijaf. وَسَبْعَ سُنْبُلَاتْ خُضْرٍ. I have seen 7, 7 green. Sumbulat means the thing the corn is in, the grains are in, what is it called? The ear, that's the word, right? The ears of corn, of the wheat, if you like, probably. Green ones, i.e. fresh ones, right? They're really good. وَأُخَرَ يَابِسَاتٍ. And I've seen 7 other ones that are dried up. Right? This is what the king has seen. I know the interpretation because I've read the surah, I know the story, but what do these 7 cows, fat and skinny ones mean? What do these 7 ears of corn and fresh ones and ripe ones and these dried up ones, what does that mean? He says, Ya ayyuhal mala'u aftuni. Give me fatwa, again, same word. Give me clarity, explain. Ya ayyuhal mala'u aftuni fi ru'yai. Give me an explanation, a clarity regarding my dream. In kuntum lirru'ya ta'burun. If you are regarding dreams, people who can explain. So abara, ta'buru is the word used for explaining dreams as well. Ta'wil is one, ta'wil al-ahadith. But ta'abir, with the ayn and ba, ta'birur ru'ya, or they actually say ta'birur ru'a. The explanation or interpretation of dreams. That's the books. The books that are written on interpreting dreams are called ta'bir. Explanation or interpretation of dreams. In Arabic they call ta'bir. قالوا, they said, أضغاث أحلام. أضغاث أحلام. أضغاث or dighth is a bunch of mess. It's usually plants and shrubs you put together. So this is أضغاث أحلام. This is all concocted in your mind, all mixed things up. Ahlam is dreams, so a mixture of random stuff in your dreams. So there are 3 types of dreams we know, right? So we said we're going to talk about dreams a little bit more. The first is from yourself, the one talking, they think this is one of those. You want from yourself what means? The ones you're having after Fajr right now. When you have your suhoor and you pray Fajr and you go to sleep, you're seeing loads of weird stuff, right? Ramadan, it's the food. If you do an explanation of those dreams, it's your suhoor. It's well known this, by the way. Everybody's thinking, oh, God, these dreams in Ramadan, it's amazing time. No, it's just the food, honestly. It might be a true dream. I'm not saying people don't have true dreams. The true dreams are when you wake up for tahajjud. So if you have a dream before suhoor, good. That's maybe a pious dream, good dream, etc. The ones after suhoor, because of the food, hawqala, they are from your mind, right? It's those, eggs and beans and toast and cornflakes and they all these, I don't know what it is that goes to your brain, right? But these gases and, warmth that goes around. And then all of a sudden you're dreaming of dessert shops and, flying in cars and, I saw myself flying to Japan and this, that, the other. I saw these rivers and seas and you're thirsty basically, right? So Ramadan's one of those times, by the way, especially after suhoor. So don't get this idea, I'm seeing loads of pious dreams. But so there's one that's called hadith al-nafs. Whatever you're thinking of before you go to sleep, your food intake affects it massively as well. That's adghathu ahlam. It's a concoction of your mind, right? Usually good stuff, stuff you like. You might see yourself playing COD or something, right? Call of Duty and winning, and you might see a football match and you're scoring the winning goal for brothers. I don't know, ladies, you might see yourself, what do ladies see in their dreams? Winning some beauty pageant, I don't know, right? I don't know, I'm being very stereotypical, sorry. But yeah, going shopping, you're in Trafford Centre maybe, I don't know. Maybe, sorry to be stereotypical, but I'm just trying to figure out what ladies will see in their dreams. I don't know. Shopping for clothes is probably the one. Jewellery and clothes, right? That's probably what you're, but maybe I don't know, you dream about being heroes and saving the world as well, like men do? Probably, yeah. No? Yes, good. Yes, we should dream about, being a savior for mankind. Yeah, inshallah ta'ala. But again, these are all just made up stuff from our own thoughts and ideas, and what our day was is going to be a dream at the end of it. Yeah, that's usually what happens. The other type of dream is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the angels, i.e. it's a good dream with meaning, pious dream, sometimes called a true dream. From Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the third type is from shaitan. All are from Allah, by the way, everything's from Allah, remember, but Allah has cause and effect. One is from the whispers or the prods of shaitan, and that's called the nightmare, the evil, the wrong, the upset. You might wake up a bit worried and anxious, that kind of thing. Or was that good or bad, or this seemed weird. You see something not so becoming, not so nice, etc. That's from the shaitan. In that case, when you get up, say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, spit to your left, spittle to your left, that way 3 times. Make wudu, pray salah if you want. That's a good thing to do when you have such a dream. But don't tell that to anybody as well. Keep it to yourself. Even the good dream, don't tell to everyone. We mentioned that at the beginning, remember. So they said to the king, no, we just things. We all see dreams, king, right? You're just seeing random stuff, right? وَمَا نَحْنُ بِتَأْوِيلِ الْأَحْلَامِ بِعَالِمِينَ. And we don't know about interpreting dreams anyway. وَقَالَ الَّذِي نَجَا مِنْهُمَا. And then said the one who was Naja, who was achieved salvation or was successful from among the two in the prison. So it goes back to that one person. It doesn't mention when what. وَذَّكَرَ بَعْدَ أُمَّةٍ. And he remembered after a while. You just, you know what? I know somebody who can help us here. أَنَا أُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِتَأْوِيلِهِ. I will tell you about its interpretation. فَأَرْسِلُونَ. Send me, arsiluni, right? Send me. In other words, I'm not going to tell you, he admitted it, I'm not going to tell you, send me, in other words, let me go, and I will come back with its interpretation. I know what to do. Yusuf wa he was Siddiq. Yusuf, the truthful one. So again, this is a new scene. He goes off to the jail, goes to see Yusuf alayhi salam, addresses him with his name, Yusufu. This means, Ya Yusuf, O Yusuf, Ayyuha Siddiq, O truthful one. Aftina, give us a fatwa, give us explanation. So this is not a legal ruling, this is an explanation of a dream. It's called a fatwa as well. Fi sab'i baqaratin simanin, 7 fat cows, ya'kuluhunna sab'un ijaf, they're eaten up by 7 emaciated cows. Wa sab'i sumbulat, khudr, and 7 green ears of grains. Wa ukhra yabisat, and 7 others that are dried up. La'alli arji'u ila nas, so that I may return back to the people. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ, and they may know of the meaning of what you have told us, what's going to happen, because you understand this, you've been given the knowledge of dream interpretation. I know this, right? So again, Allah is blessing Yusuf al-Islam and using this skill, this blessing that he's been given, this favor, to now not just get him out of jail, but to give him a high and powerful position in society due to his ability of dream interpretation and this knowledge and revelation. قال, Yusuf al-Islam says, تَزْرَعُونَ سَبْعَ سِنِينَ دَأَبًا. You will harvest, and agriculture will occur for 7 years, da'aba, in like regular habit. Da'ab is like a regularity of something. So you'll be fine for 7 years. You'll do a lot. فَمَا حَصَدْتُمْ. But what you harvest, what you take, فَذَرُوهُ فِي سُنْبُلِهِ. Leave most of it in the ear. Leave the grains there, don't take them out. So don't actually cut them off, leave them there. إِلَّا قَلِيلًا, except for the little that you need, what you're going to eat from, مِمَّا تَأْكُلُونَ. Right, so take some, but only what you need. Leave the rest there. Don't take it out, otherwise it's going to be wasted. So leave it there. ثُمَّ يَأْتِي بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ سَبْعٌ شِدَادٌ. Then after that there will come 7 years, difficult years. So the 7 cows were referring to 7 years of harvesting a lot, like there'll be lots of food and grains basically. Then there'll be 7 years where there's no grains. So those 7 years are referred to as well as the famine as well. So these 7 years where it's khudr, there'll be a lot of, availability of resources. But then for 7 years, what's going to happen? There's going to be famine. They actually probably said, Sinin ka Sinini Yusuf, that there are years, like the years of Yusuf, either is famine, like the famine of Yusuf. So the years of Yusuf is a term used to mean for the years of famine that occurred in the time of Yusuf. And in that time, you're going to utilize what you've saved up for the 7 years. And that 7 years also refers to people coming. I'm going to say that, right? ذلك سبع شداد يأكلن ما قدمتم لهن إلا قليلا مما تحسنون. So these 7 years will eat up, you'll use up what you have put forward, إلا قليلا, except for a little as well. So a little, you're going to keep more. So you're going to save more even for the 7 years after that. So it's like 2 periods, 7, 7, 7 if you like. مما تحسنون. So again, this word now is used, hisan. You're going to fortify. So you're going to give long shelf life too. So you're going to, some of what you've done is even going to last for even longer. So you're going to leave some there, you're going to use some, and then you're going to preserve some for long term, right? ثم يأتي من بعد ذلك عام فيه يغاث الناس. Then there'll come a year, so not 7, another year. There'll be 1 year now that the people will come for help, meaning they can't manage with their own resources, right? There'll be, the famine reach such a difficulty, people are going to come and ask around. You're going to have the resources. Why? Yusuf, I'm telling you, this is what it means. You, the people of Egypt, are the people that are going to save others. People from around the area, various of the lands are going to come, and you're going to be able, because you've saved up, to help them. That tuhsinun, that you fortified, if you like. وَفِيهِ يَعْصِرُونَ. And in that time they will be ya'sirun, which means squeezed. They'll be squeezing out things. They'll be like when the bills went up and the cost of living crisis, we were like, yep, could only have, we were counting, I don't know. We were counting the shopping, I don't know how many eggs we can buy. I can only buy 7 eggs or 9 eggs, or don't break any eggs, right? So we were rationing, if you like, right? So ya'sirun, we're going to really be squeezed and difficult, so people are going to have difficulty in the words, asr. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ ائْتُونِي بِهِ. So he went back, so this is Yusuf speaking, again, the man went back, told the king, this is what it means. Yusuf al-Islam, he interpreted my dream, he told me that one of us is going to happen, is going to, give the king wine, that was me, the other one's going to be crucified and the birds are going to eat from him. He said, that happened. So he told all of this, it's not mentioned here, but he was saying to the king that I've gone to Yusuf, he's told me this before, he's telling me this now, he knows what it means. And the king was like, yeah, I saw a true dream, I didn't see no concoction of my mind, it was a real thing. Go and bring me Yusuf, I want him to come, he's somebody we can benefit from. قال الملك ائتوني به, bring him to me. فلما جاءه الرسول, so when the messenger went to Yusuf alayhi salam, قال ارجع إلى ربك, go back to your Lord, to the king. فاسأله, and ask him. Look at the time, I'm getting out of jail. No, wait a minute, go back and ask him. ما بال النسوة, what's the affair, what's the matter of the ladies, التي قطعن أيديهن, the ones that cut their hands. So let's sort that out first. I was in here falsely accused. You can't just take me out because you want me. Let's sort out my innocence, exonerate me from all of this before I'm leaving the prison. So look at the patience, I think we'd run for the door, right? Yeah, let's go. No, wait a minute, I'm in here on false accusations. I'm not going to come out until that's sorted out, right? That's what I should be coming out for. Inna Rabbi bikaydihinna alim. My Lord knows of their plans. Qala ma khatabukunna. So again, another scene, king speaks to them. What's going on? So the time is not instant here, it's slowly moving along, days maybe. In this situation, days. ما خطبكن, what's the matter with you, what's your affair? إذ راوتن يوسف عن نفسي, that you tried to seduce Yusuf. قلنا حاشا لله, far be it from Allah, in other words, we seek the protection of Allah. ما علمنا عليه من سوء, we don't know any evil from him. There was nothing he did wrong, in other words. قالت امرأة العزيز, the wife of the Aziz said, so she admitted, الآن حصحص الحق, the truth has become apparent, it's become visible to all, it's broken through, it's come out, we can't hide it anymore. أنا راودته عن نفسي وإنه لمن الصادقين, I did, she admits her wrong, tried to seduce him, and surely he is from the truthful. ذلك ليعلم أني لم أخنه بالغيب وأن الله لا يهدي كيد الخائنين. Who said these lines? It said that Yusuf alayhi salam said this, so full stop. ذلك, I did this, I went back to the king, or Yusuf alayhi salam, I didn't want to come out instantly because ليعلم أني لم أخنه بالغيب, I wanted him to know that I did not deceive him or cheat him, khiyana, or betrayed him, if you like that word, in his absence. In whose absence? Who is he talking about? The king, the leader, the husband, the father, the one who brought him in. So Yusuf Islam's, look what he's thinking of. When I come out of this jail, that person who brought me into his house, looked after me, he's hurting still because of all of this. And I want him to know that I wasn't the reason behind it, and I did not betray you in the trust you gave me. I honored that trust. I respected you. Right? So he wanted to rectify his relationships with. That was the one he wanted to rectify. وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي كَيْدَ الْخَائِنِينَ. Allah does not guide the plot of those who betray and are treacherous. Right? No, Allah does not guide those who have their own plots and plans. But then look what he says. وَمَا أُبَرِّئُ نَفْسِي. So this is Yusuf Islam speaking. The famous words of Yusuf Islam. I do not exonerate myself of blame. I do not free myself of blame. I still feel there's something inside that may be wrong in me. No. He's a prophet, he's saying this out of humbleness, but it's a lesson for us. Why? إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ. Surely the ego is always commanding to evil. It's always ammara, always inciting to something wrong. In other words, this is the nature of humans, and I'm a human being, so I know that there was, temptations and I could have done wrong, so I don't free myself of blame, although he's free of blame. It's a lesson for us. Even if we're innocent, even if we get onto the truth and we're good, there's always our ego that's going to be tempting us again and again and again. It doesn't stop. إِنَّ النَّفْسَ لَأَمَّارَةٌ بِالسُّوءِ إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي. Except for that which my Lord has mercy upon. إِنَّ رَبِّي غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. Surely my Lord is the most forgiving, the all merciful. وَقَالَ الْمَلِكُ ائْتُونِي بِهِ. Oh, the king said, bring him to me. أَسْتَخْلِصُ لِنَفْسِي. I want him for myself. Istikhlas, like I want him to give him a special position with me, like close. There's going to give him power, and I'm going to make him somebody, influential in the kingdom because he's a brilliant person. فَلَمَّا كَلَّمَهُ قَالَ. So when the king spoke to him, he said to him, so the king saying to Yusuf al-Islam, إِنَّكَ الْيَوْمَ لَدَيْنَا مَكِينٌ أَمِينٌ. Surely today you are with us, firm and trusted. You've got a strong position now, and we trust you. In other words, look at the position Yusuf al-Islam is now in. From being accused, falsely accused, in a well, in jail, he's been given, like the right-hand man of the king, and he became the right-hand man of the king of Egypt, and later on the king of Egypt gave him full control of the whole of Egypt. Although he wasn't officially the king of Egypt, he was given the control, Yusuf al-Islam, by the king himself, because he trusted him so much. He loved Yusuf al-Islam. Like we said, everybody who had the company of Yusuf wanted to keep the company of Yusuf and have him around them, and that when this happens, man says to the court, send me as Yusuf the truthful one. Yusuf responds without delay, don't ask for anything initially. So he responds and tells them straight away. We saw the explanation we mentioned, without delay. King wants to honor Yusuf. He says, wait, what about the women? Let's establish my innocence first. I don't need a favor from the king. Blemish of guilt. So the thing is, if he had gone out without asking for that, the blemish of guilt would have remained. Was he innocent or not? What was his part in all of that? But once the lady spoke out and said, yes, he was innocent, he was truthful, nothing wrong, this way is full exoneration, right? So that's what we had. So now he's speaking to the king, and this is interesting. He says, Qala, Yusuf al-Islam says, Ij'alni ala khazain al-ard. Put me in charge of the treasures of the earth, i.e. the treasury, the resources of the khazain. Inni hafizun alim. Surely I am somebody who is caring or looking after, preserving. I'm got the skill of looking after things, management if you like. Alim, and I'm well aware. I've got understanding of this. I'm more than other people. So this is basically what we do at job interviews, isn't it? When you want to get a job, what do you say? I'm the worst for this job. Don't hire me. You be humble. No, you say, look, I got the best experience. I've got the best skills. I'll do this job better than anybody else. I've got X, Y, Z. I'm Hafiz and Alim. So it's recommended and sometimes wajib. So it was actually required of Yusuf Islam to say this, to be put in the right position, because that is when is it wajib? It's wajib when it's going to help somebody that needs help, or it's going to prevent harm. I need to be in this position. Why shouldn't you shouldn't seek positions, brother, sister. No, you shouldn't normally. But when other people are not qualified, it's going to cause harm, or that there's a neglect in society somewhere, and you can help, you bring yourself. Let me give you a practical example, right? Somebody's fallen over on the ground. Any doctors here? Humbled. I don't want to say I'm a doctor. No, you say, yeah, I'm a doctor. Are you showing off? Or are you trying to save somebody's life or get access and whatnot, right? So simple example as we all know. So when the time is there, so here now, if Yusuf al-Islam is not put in charge of the treasury and the resources, what's going to happen? The person in charge is going to say, right, this famine's hit us, right, this happened, let's get my family sorted, let's steal everything, let's put the prices up, let's make life difficult for people like people do, right, in these cost of living crises and COVID, and they're making more money out of us because they don't care about accountability and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But Yusuf al-Islam says, no, put me in charge, I know how to do things, I'm a caring person, a preserving person, a wise person, planning person, Hafidhun Alim, and that's what I'm going to do. When this drought comes, this famine comes, the difficulties come, I'll be in a position to help people. So he wasn't trying to gain, he didn't need a position, he was being humble before. We saw that he's not, but this wasn't the time to remain humble and say, yeah, whatever you want me to do, you want me to go and be a judge or something. No, I need to be in charge of this because this is where the big needs are, and I can make sure things are done right and proper. And there was nobody else who had this level of knowledge and skill to do that. وَكَذَلِكَ مَكَّنَّا لِيُوسُفَ فِي الْأَرْضِ. And that was how we, so again Allah reminds how we supported Yusuf, how we did things for Yusuf. So this idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is behind everything is mentioned throughout the surah, by the way. يَتَبَوَّأُ مِنْ حَيْثُ يَشَاءُ. He could have taken any position he wanted. يَتَبَوَّأُ. He could have taken any position. مِنْهَا حَيْثُ يَشَاءُ. So he could have said to the king, I want this role, I want that role. The king would have said, fine, take it. But obviously he chose the one that he knew was the best one for the people and for society. Yes, not for him personally.
So why is it we and not I? If it's Allah?
Because it's the royal we. It's the royal we, that Allah refers to himself as. Allah never really says I. It's very rare that Allah mentions himself as I, apart from a few parts. It's mentioned, but not very commonly. It's very, very common to say we did this, we did that. And it could mean, not that it does necessarily, that we as in the angels as well, like Allah used the power of his angels and stuff like that, but it just means we as in the royal we, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did. That's the general meaning. Whenever you see that in the Quran, it's referring to the royal we, not like there's a group of people doing this, only Allah doing this. نُصِيبُ بِرَحْمَتِنَا مَنْ نَشَاءُ. And we afflict, or we grant our mercy to whoever we wish. وَلَا نُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Again, we do not cause to go to lost, squander, nudi'u, end up having no value. What? The reward of the good doers. The reward of the good doers is always preserved and given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you do good, Allah will grant you. You do what's right, Allah will grant you the best outcomes, the best rewards, the best protection. But that's the struggle. We've got to remain upright and doing the right thing. وَلَا أَجْرُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ. And a reminder, not only here but throughout the surah, it's not just the worldly rewards we're looking out for, or things that have got easy for us in life. No, وَلَا أَجْرُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ. The reward of the hereafter that you get from your patience and obedience is better. لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. For those who believed, وَكَانُوا يَتَّقُونَ, and were God conscious. Right. So iman and taqwa are a crucial part of our relationship and journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How to take a position, mention all these things. What are you best at? What can you do better than others? Yeah. Where are you needed the most? So the questions we need to ask ourselves, and then pick a career, guys. Yusuf, what do you want to become when you grow up? You're a policeman when you grow up. What do you want to do? Footballer. Have a word with him. Have a word with him, Idris. It's not about kicking the ball around the park. Not the money. I know it's not the money. You like football. You learn that it's not about that. Even footballers don't like football, some of them. They do it for the money, but you like football at the moment. So yeah, mention your good traits and skills to help, not to show off. So this is the thing, when you do go for a job interview, I don't think many of us try to show off. I think we try to convince the person of our skills, and maybe we exaggerate, maybe we do obviously things that we should say or do to get the job, but you should be truthful and put forward your skills and traits. Once you get a worldly position, remember it only has a meaning if it's connected to the next life. That was that last part. It's not just about I got a job, I've got power, I've got status. Yusuf Islam didn't see that as his job and role. He didn't go for that role for the sake of power and wealth. He did that for the sake of his akhirah, for the sake of people, for helping others. That's it. That's what helps, or that's what gives your job and your duties true value, status and success this life and the next. وَجَاء إِخْوَةُ Yusuf. So again, period of time expires, things are happening. obviously they're coming because they want food and drink, right? This famine is starting, or the difficult times are starting. So maybe several months later, years later, whenever this happens, it's not instantly the next day that the brothers turn up after Yusuf has been appointed, maybe several months, if not years. So a lot of time has passed, as we can see. The brothers of Yusuf, they arrive. فَدَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ, they enter upon him. فَعَرَفَهُم, he knows them, he recognizes them. وَهُمْ لَهُ مُنْكِرُونَ, but they do not see him, they don't recognize him. وَلَمَّا جَهَّزَهُم بِجَهَازِهِمْ, and when he's given them their goods, their jahaz, so they've bought stuff on the first occasion. قَالَ ائْتُونِي بِأَخٍ لَكُمْ, bring me a brother of yours. مِنْ أَبِيكُمْ, from your father. أَلَا تَرَوْنَ أَنِّي أُوفِي الْكَيْلَ, don't you see that I fulfill the measure? وَأَنَا خَيْرُ الْمُنْزِلِينَ, and I'm the best of those who are hospitable, grant, munzil is to be hospitable and grant sort of amenities and ease. So when you come here, look how much I looked after you. فَإِن لَمْ تَأْتُونِ بِهِ فَلَا كَيْلَ لَكُمْ إِنْدِي وَلَا تَقْرَبُونَ, and if you don't bring him, then there's no kale for you, there's no measure for you, there's no wheat and grain for you. إِنْدِي وَلَا تَقْرَبُونَ, and you won't be able to come close and come again. There's a question that throws itself up here, doesn't it? Right, it's just staring us in the face. What is it?
Did they not get creeped out by that question?
Exactly, like how does he know about our brother? Why is he asking us to bring a smaller brother of ours from our father? Like, don't bring other brothers because they may have a brother from their mother's side, etc. What do you think? Like, why is this? They know it's Yusuf, like they don't recognize him. So he's asking them, look, next time you come, you got to bring a brother of yours. I would be like creeped out, like, how does he know? Why? Who is this guy? What does he know, right? So there's something going on here, right? Look at the response. قالوا سنراود عنه أباه وإنا لفاعلون. We will surely tempt, seduce, convince our father or his father, Abahu, and surely we will do what you're asking. So there's a couple of explanations for what happened here. One of them is that they were so in need, engrossed in getting what they wanted, they didn't even realize. So the question didn't come up. Why is he asking? Oh, you want us to bring a brother? Yeah, we'll bring a brother. No problem. As long as you're going to give us stuff, right? So they was just so concerned about their welfare, they didn't really think, why is he asking this, etc. The other explanation is because it's mukhtasar, as in abridged. They had a conversation with Yusuf. He would have talked to them. He would have got to know them. The conversation seems as though they're getting to know each other. It wasn't like, here you go, just a transaction. He was getting to know them, talking to them, and they mentioned and they talked about their family. So he picked up, used something of what they said to say, oh, you've got a brother, bring him next time, or you're not going to get what you want. But the question really that they should have posed was, why do you need him to give us next time? What's so important about bringing him next time? Because that's what it was. It was bringing him that was important to Yusuf alayhi salam, not giving them or not giving them. He wanted Binyamin to come. They didn't ask that question again because they were just like, okay, we'll bring him and we'll get more stuff. Because remember, each person can take a certain amount because it's rationing. So if you bring another person, you'll get more, right? You'll increase in a share. So they thought he wants us to give us more. So there's a conversation going on. He didn't portray it as anything weird. Although definitely, if you read that, it just stands out to you. What is going on? How can they not figure it out? Why are they not asking these questions? Within the conversation, the Yusuf alayhi salam kind of puts these things in. But for us, that conversation, if I was to write a whole page on, and the brothers were talking, they sat down, they had tea together, then they talked about their life in Palestine, in Canaan, and then they mentioned, we've got a father, we've got this, we've got that. Yeah, you know what, have you got any other brothers? Yeah, bring them, otherwise you won't. No, that conversation isn't there. But we know that in the conversation, it would have led to this outcome. Brothers arrive in a state of need, Yusuf has ability to help them, tables have been turned. So that's the thing now. Look how, I didn't even mention that, right? So look how Yusuf alayhi salam is helping his brothers while he knows he's helping them and they don't know. And remember, that's what Yaqub alayhi salam told Yusuf alayhi salam, that you're going to be helping us and you're going to tell them about what's happened, which is coming later, right? Does not take the first opportunity to retaliate, rather he has wisdom and patience to get the best outcome. He doesn't say, look at me now, you're in need of me, I'm not going to give you anything, apologize, I'm Yusuf. No, he has patience. He realizes it's Allah's plan, by the way. So one element, huge element of this is Yusuf is receiving revelation now. Okay, he's a prophet, he's in his manhood, etc. He's acting via revelation, not personal decisions all the time. So that explains a lot of the decisions he's making, by the way, because you might think, I would do this, I would want to see my father. Yusuf, why wouldn't he reach out to his father and write a letter? Right? Because he's under the commands of Allah and revelation. So this is all part of Allah's plan. Does not take the first opportunity to get the best out. He uses his position and the need of the brothers to get his younger brother to come. That's the first step. Things have to happen step by step. He needs his younger brother first. وَقَالَ لِفِتْيَانِهِ. So he said to his young men, so Yusuf Islam said to the workers, اجعلوا بضاعتهم في رحالهم. Put their goods that they've given, also they paid, like I said, initially they came, they had something to give, the payments, give it back to them. We don't want to make sure they come back, in other words. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَعْرِفُونَها, in order that they may know what they have. إِذَا انْقَلَبُوا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ, when they go back to their family. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ, so that they will come back, in the hope that they will come back. So give them the stuff, they'll see it, they'll recognize it, they'll realize we've been giving this back. They were kind to us, let's go, we've got money for next time, so maybe they might have money for next time to pay. No, go, you've got it, we've given you the goods that you gave, the wealth that you gave back. فَلَمَّا رَجَعُوا إِلَىٰ أَبِيهِمْ, so when they went back to their father, the brothers, قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا, O our father, مُنِعَ مِنَّا الْكَيْلُ, the measure, the goods have been prevented from us. Kail means a measure, but you're referring here to the measure of wheat and goods. It's been prevented for us, except if you send فَأَرْسِلْ مَعَنَا أَخَانَا, our brother with us. So this is what we've got to do. نَقْتَلْ وَإِنْ أَخَانَا نَقْتَلْ, we will then give, we'll be given a kail, a measure. وَإِنَّ لَهُ لَحَافِظٌ, and surely we will protect him. Oh, I've heard this before, right? قَالَ هَلْ آمَنُكُمْ عَلَيْهِ, shall I trust him with you? إِلَّا كَمَا أَمِنْتُكُمْ عَلَىٰ أَخِيهِ مِنْ قَبْلِ, like I trusted you with his brother before. What are you trying to ask me? Do you think I'm going to trust you with him like I trusted you with Yusuf Islam, his brother before? فَاللَّهُ خَيْرٌ حَافِظًا وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ. Allah is the best of protectors, and He is the most merciful who show mercy. فَلَمَّا, so he didn't agree at the moment. He's like, no, I think I'm going to trust you like we did before. وَلَمَّا, so this is what Yusuf Islam knew, that I need to make sure they come back with Binyamin. How am I going to get Binyamin away from his father, from Yaqub Islam? وَلَمَّا فَتَحُوا مَتَاعَهُمْ, when they opened their luggage, وَجَدُوا بِضَاعَتَهُمْ رُدَّتْ إِلَيْهِمْ, they found their goods that they had taken as payment returned back to them. They turned back to their father. قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا, O our father, مَا نَبَغِي, we're not going to extreme measures, we're not being excessive, we're not lying. هَذِهِ بِضَاعَةٌ رُدَّتْ إِلَيْنَا, this is our goods that we went to pay, they've come back to us, we got payment for the next time. We can go, but there's no point in us going again with all this money, because we're not going to get anything without Binyamin. You've got to let him go with us. We've got the money to go back. We need him to fulfill the deal. And by the way, Yaqub al-Islam knew what was going on as well. He's a prophet. He knew that there is some reason for that. I mean, think about it. Why wouldn't you ask the question, why is he asking for my son? Right? He may not have known it's Yusuf al-Islam, or he may not have known exactly what's going on. How much revelation he had, we don't know. But you'd have the idea, right? If somebody is asking for Binyamin, the reason for it was that all the families should come together and each family has a share. So I'm not going to give you yours until you actually come and get it. So you've got to make sure you all come. So Yusuf Islam used that as an angle to make sure the brother, or they bring the brother with them, the younger brother. هذه بدورتنا ونمير أهلنا, so and we will give our family wealth and good. Namiru is like look after them with the goods, nutrition. ونحفظ أخانا, and we'll preserve our brother, we'll look after him. ونحفظه ونزداد كيل بعيد, and we'll increase in a share. Benjamin's going to get an extra share of goods. That's a lot of good for us as well. ونزداد كيل بعيد, we'll have another share. Literally means the measurement of a ba'id, which is a camel or an animal, but it means here the share of Binyamin and Islam. ذَلِكَ كَيْلٌ يَسِيرٌ, that's an easy share. That measure that we're going to get for Binyamin is easy because to send him with us, inshallah. This is his first time. There was this idea of people coming back and forth. So Yusuf al-Islam was keeping records, by the way. Who's come, who's gone, how much you've had. People come every day and take stuff. No. You have rations, right? People are coming in certain periods. So we're going to go back at our appointed time. And then we go back, we know that people who've come for the first time definitely get a share and get looked after. So the share of Binyamin is an easy one. Again, Yusuf al-Islam is using these angles to make sure that Yaqub al-Islam sends Binyamin al-Islam back in. Yusuf shows them kindness to make them come back. Take extra all means to get things done. So tip people basically, right? Give more. So get things done, but also look after people, right? They spoke to Yaqub about sending Binyamin. This stirred up the deep pain still in the heart of Yaqub, as you can see. See his response? No. This time they were sincere and telling the truth and really wanted to help as the family was in need, a need Allah created for His plan, right? So Allah made the whole situation. Yaqub is reluctant but understands he must send Binyamin because of their dire need. Again, that is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قَالَ لَنْ أُرْسِلَهُ مَعَكُمْ I'm not going to send him with you. حَتَّى تُؤْتُونِي مَوْثِقًا Until you give me a pledge, a covenant, a promise. مِنَ اللَّهِ By Allah, like by Allah we swear, by Allah we agree. لَا تَأْتُنَّ بِهِ That you'll come back with him. إِلَّا أَن يُحَاطَ بِكُمْ Except, and Yaqub is hinting here that things can happen, right? That's Allah's plan. Except if you are surrounded, if you are overcome, you are taken charge of. يُحَاطَ بِكُمْ فَلَمَّا آتَوْهُ مَوْثِقَهُم And when they gave their promise to him, their mawthiq, their covenant, قَالَ اللَّهُ عَلَى مَا نَقُولُ وَكِيلٌ Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who's going to take care, is in charge, wakil, of what we say to you, what we promise to you. In other words, we know we can't guarantee you what you're asking us, only Allah can, but we are making Allah a witness this time that we will do our best to do what we can. وَقَالَ يَا بَنِيَّ And Yaqub al-Islam, oh my children, لَا تَدْخُلُوا مِنْ بَابٍ وَاحِدٍ Don't go in from one door. When you all get there, 12, 11 of you, don't go in from the same door. وَادْخُلُوا مِنْ أَبْوَابٍ مُتَفَرِّقَةٍ All of you enter from different parts. When you enter the city, there's gates, the old city. Don't go in from the same gate as one entourage, one group, all separate and go in together. وَمَا أُغْنِي عَنْكُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ I can't help you from anything that Allah wants in any way. In other words, Allah if wants difficulty for you when you go there, there'll be difficulty. So what's Yaqub wanting? For them to be saved, for them to come back, don't get noticed, don't get into any trouble, go separately, come back and etc. So he's trying to, but then he says, I can't help you if Allah wants something to happen. إِنِ الْحُكْمُ إِلَّا لِلَّهِ The affair, the command, the decision belongs to Allah. عَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ I've got to trust in Him. So remember, Yaqub al-Islam's taking a risk and he's saying, I've got to do this, it's for the family, we're going to starve, it's difficult, this is the situation. I'm giving you advice, taking the means, advice, do this, but then ultimately we've got to trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. عَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ وَعَلَيْهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُتَوَكِّلُونَ Then let those who are going to have any trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's where your trust should be, and that's where my trust is. It's upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So عَلَيْهِ تَوَكَّلْتُ means I only trust on Allah. That's what he's saying. I trust on Him and other things. My trust is solely upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because he could have said tawakkaltu ala Allah, which is what we normally say. What did he say here? Alayhi tawakkaltu. When you mention alayhi first, you're singling out one thing and one thing only. In Surah Fatih we have this Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You alone, that alone is from Iyaka being first. Because you can say na'buduka, we worship you, but that doesn't mean alone, because it's not putting Allah first or you first in this case. In this case it's He. Upon Him alone, in brackets, I place my trust. Let therefore anybody who has any trust to place on anybody, trust upon Him, so only trust upon Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yaqub is a prophet, so he's not only aware Allah has a plan, but knows he must be patient even through all that he's struggling. So he's struggling, remember, right? So we don't know how much knowledge Yaqub al-Islam had, but he didn't have full knowledge. The Quranic discourse story shows that. Why? Because Allah was testing him as well. A lesson for us all, no matter what happens, and we know we must endure and persevere, it is tough. It's very tough. It gets tougher, by the way. He gives advice and guidance to protect his children from the evil eye. So what was going on? Why are we going from different gates? When you go in together and people see, oh, look at these 11 brothers, how strong they are, big group they are, people become maybe not envious, but they look at it with admiration, maybe jealousy, the evil eye. So seek protection from this by doing things. Reciting Surah Falaq, Surah Nas, now we have this from the Islam and the Revelation. But do things, don't always make, in the olden days, right, in Islamic world, if you like, and it's changed now in the modern society, they didn't decorate their houses from the outside. Because when people would look and see a nice house, think, oh, that's a nice place, and the evil eye, the envy would start coming. So the houses traditionally, and you'll see this in the Muslim world still, a lot of places, from the outside, were not torn down and rubble or something, or just horrible. They were just plain, there's nothing there. But you'd walk in through the door, and you see a beautiful house inside, nice little decorations and pieces and carpets and, rugs, whatever, right? And it'd be really nice to go into. You step outside, you think, I wasn't expecting this, right? Because why? We show off our wealth now. We show off our, gardens and, belongings and appearances. That's not good for us. The evil eye, the envy comes in through that. Protect yourself from this by one, taking action, right? So slap some random paint on your walls. What's this paint in the house doing? That's it, your evil eye is gone. People are looking at it, admiring this, thinking, what was that paint slap a paint on there for? Just go by. It's weird. That's it. They're not going to have an evil eye intention towards your house anymore. They're just going to find it weird every time they go past. It's protection, right? So this is the idea, that go from different doors so you're not noticed. Nobody pays. Because once you're noticed, oh, that's a nice car. Oh, that's a nice triple glazed windows on that house. People are looking out for these things, by the way. I know triple glazed exists until recently, by the way, right? People are looking out for these things. No, look at this. Just hide your stuff. Don't keep it subtle. Don't show off. This is not good for you. It can lead to envy, evil eye. What's the evil eye? When somebody sees what you have and it's a blessing, and then that blessing is taken away. You lose the blessing, or some harm comes your way, right? This is true. Al-haqqu al-aynu haqqun. The Prophet said the evil eye is true. The Prophet made dua, I seek refuge in you from min kulli aynin lamma, from every blameworthy, looking eye, the reproaching eye, the eye of envy. So this is very clearly mentioned. وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدٍ, from the evil of the envier when he envies as well. After all that has been done, Yaqub still wanted to keep his family together. Don't cut people off for what they do. Try to reconcile. So, what did he said that in the next ayah? وَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا مِنْ حَيْثُ أَمَرَهُمْ أَبُوهُم, and when they entered as their father wanted, they did that. مَا كَانَ يُغْنِي عَنْهُم مِّنَ اللَّهِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. That wasn't anything that was going to help them. If Allah wants something to happen, it's going to happen. Because what did Yaqub not want? The main thing he didn't want was Binyamin to, be lost or caught up or be in problems. He's like, protect him. How can I protect him? As long as you're all protected, he'll be protected, right? He'll be looked after. So he's trying to help them all. So that didn't help them one bit, because why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got a plan. إِلَّا حَاجَةً فِي نَفْسِ يَعْقُوبَ قَضَاهَا. So Yaqub had this haja, need, that he wanted to help in the way he could. So he fulfilled his duty, in other words. وَإِنَّهُ لَذُو عِلْمٍ. And he is very full of knowledge, Yaqub alayhi salam. Ilmin lima allamnahu, of what we have taught him. Again, his revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he knew some knowledge. So he, like I said, the exact amount or awareness Yaqub alayhi salam had. Because if you know everything, even if you know everything, it's still not easy to deal with it, right? But if you know everything, it does become a lot easier. You know how things are going to work. You change your approach. So some knowledge was being given to give him solace and strength, but not full knowledge. وَلَكِنْ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ, but most people have no clue. وَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُفَ آوَى إِلَيْهِ أَخَاهُ. When they entered upon Yusuf, what happened? Yusuf alayhi salam got his brother. How did he do that, by the way? He doesn't say how he did it. He gave them lodging, and he put them in pairs. 5 of them, or 5 pairs. Binyamin's by himself. So he says, you stay here, and he goes, Awa ilayhi akhahu. He takes him to himself, like gives him refuge with him. So they're privately speaking. Can you not imagine now what the situation is? Yusuf alayhi salam and his brother, after how many years they're back together, right? قَالَ إِنِّي أَنَا أَخُوكَ. You can't imagine the emotions there, right? I'm your brother. فَلَا تَبْتَعِسْ. So don't despair, don't worry. بِمَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. About what they've been doing. Like, so you know what's going on. You may be worried now they brought you here. You know what happened to me, right? The whole situation. Don't worry. I'm Yusuf. I'm your brother. Etc. Allah's plans are final. Yaqub's advice was taken and did benefit. He wanted his sons to stay together in return. But Allah's decree was that so they did benefit from that. No envy came their way. No harm came their way. But did that stop the plan from carrying on what Allah wanted? It didn't. The plan of Allah carries on. But Allah's decree was that Benjamin will stay. So this had a cause behind it. What was the cause? How did Yusuf Islam keep Benjamin? Do you know the story, right? Put the cup in the bag. Yeah, exactly. We're going to come on to that. Yusuf had them lodged in pairs, which left Benjamin alone. I mentioned that. He went to Benjamin, told him what was happening, not to be worried and stick with him. So he's going to tell him now, we're going to do this to you. So it was an agreement. It was not like, you're going to be accused of theft and you're going to be worried. No, don't worry. We've got a plan to keep you with me. That's the plan, in other words. Can you imagine the emotions of them both at this stage, right? Crazy, right? After so many years, long lost brothers almost, right? And then remember, Benjamin probably had no clue that Yusuf Islam was still alive and where he was and what's happening to him. And imagine how much he was thinking of his brother, because they were very close. They've had the same mother and father. Their mother had passed away as well. So, Benjamin was beloved to Yaqub alayhi salam. فَلَمَّا جَهَّزَهُمْ بِجَهَازِهِمْ جَعَلَ السِّقَايَةَ فِي رَحْلِ أَخِيهِ. So when they again prepared them with all their goods and they went off, he put the siqaya, the suwa al-malik, the drinking vessel, cup, in the rahal of his brother, the saddle, the belongings, the luggage of his brother. ثُمَّ أَذَّنَ مُؤَذِّنٌ, and I mentioned to you before, the adhan is a call. And the man who saw a call in his dream, he was accused of theft and he repented, right? So أَذَّنَ مُؤَذِّنٌ, a caller called out, أَيَّةُ الْعِيرُ, O caravan, O group of people, إِنَّكُمْ لَسَارِقُونَ, you are thieves. We've seen, we've lost something. قَالُوا وَأَقْبَلُوا عَلَيْهِمْ, they said and they turned back. So they were on their way. So look how the plan was. We're going to put it in. We're not going to say straight away, oh, somebody's stolen something before they leave. No, let them leave. They're on their way out. Oh, wait a minute, we've lost something. See, that make it realistic and not all, too obvious, right? So it was done in stages. So they turned back and they said, ماذا تفقدون? What have you lost? قالوا نفقد سواع الملك. We've lost the container, the utensil of the king. So there was a reason for that. One, it was said to be worth a lot, and hence, it was a serious crime, let's say. وَلِمَنْ جَاءَ بِهِ حِمْلُ بَعِيرٍ, and whoever gets it for us can have a whole nother animal worth of goods. So you can give us a prize or reward for the lost item. وَأَنَا بِهِ زَعِيمٌ, and I'll be in charge of the person. Right? So this is Yusuf al-Islam saying this, right? I'll be responsible for him. قالوا تالله, no, by Allah, لقد علمتم ما جئنا لنفسد في الأرض. You know we've not come to do anything bad, to cause corruption on the earth. وَمَا كُنَّا سَارِقِينَ, we're not thieves. We're not people who do this, right? But what happens? Again, so shall we search the young boy's bag first? No, we search everybody else's first. Then we come to him at the end, right? So that's when the plan to keep Benjamin. Container, precious, placed in Benjamin's luggage. Call was made after a while. They had departed. Thumma indicates this. So when they say thumma, what does it say thumma here? في رحله ثم أذن مؤذن. So once they placed the cup in his bag, it wasn't like, okay, make a call now instantly. There was a long, lengthy delay between the placing of the cup. Things had happened, they'd gone off, they'd traveled. Oh, let's make a call now. So it was timed, that's a delay. Thumma means it then happened after a delay. If we say so far or seen, then it means happened pretty soon, or far. Why punish Yaqub further? Meaning Binyamin's now going to not come back. How can a false accusation be made? Yeah, so these are questions that come up, right? So the answer is Allah's plan. So how could Yusuf al-Islam agree to make a false accusation against his brother and give him this blemish of being a thief, right? And how can you or Yusuf al-Islam cause more pain on your father by not allowing Binyamin to, you being selfish, or you not realizing how it's going to hurt your father when they go back? All of this was, of course, known to Yusuf al-Islam. I pose these questions here because they are questions you naturally ask. This is Allah's plan. That's the thing we've got to learn through all of this, right? This is how Allah has made the plan, the journey for us. And in the end, it's going to tell us this, and I mentioned it on the last slide, but we mention it now. We should really be mentioning it throughout. Who is this? So who's the first person to hear this story? Not a trick question. So who's the first person that heard the story in the Quran, the Yusuf Islam story? You think I'm trying to ask you a weird question? The Prophet ﷺ, right? I made it clear, right? I made it easy. Why the Prophet ﷺ? Because he's in the same situation. Remember, this is the time. Remember, we mentioned when this was revealed. His wife's passed away, his uncle passed away, there's been a boycott, been persecution, Ta'if's happened. Was it before or after Isra al-Miraj? Didn't really check on that, sorry Said. But yeah, it was around that time that Allah was wanting to give a lot of support to the Prophet ﷺ. And just as we see now, why? We ask these questions, it's the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, Prophet, you're going to have to leave Makkah. You're going to have to go to Medina. You're going to have to struggle. There's going to be more martyrs. They're going to lose your uncle Hamza in Uhud. All these things are going to happen. As they happen, realize this is the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not a punishment for you. And in the end, you'll see the wisdom, you'll realize, you'll understand, okay, the losses we had, they're martyrdom, they're rewards with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With Iman, there's no ultimate loss. There is like a current, maybe, pain and loss, but ultimately, like if you look back at everything and the overall plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alhamdulillah, it's all a blessing in disguise, even though it's painful sometimes, that we should hopefully realize by the end of it all. And that's why we've got to get to the end. So hence, when we get to the end of the story, the Prophet's been given that solace and that guidance that you will get to the end of your journey as well, and we will get to the end of our journeys as well. So don't give up. That's the other thing as well, right? We've got to get to the end. Don't not just give up, don't give in, don't lash out, don't complain too soon, don't get frustrated and annoyed. There's a plan here. Patience, endurance, think ahead, take the next steps. Like Yusuf al-Islam was, be patient, like instantly things don't happen. Yusuf al-Islam could have come out of the jail a lot earlier than he did. He waited for what? For exoneration, for the right things to, he could have taken any position on the earth, a more powerful position than the treasury, but he wanted to be there to help the people. So, realize there's stages we have to go through in our own unique journeys to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And remember the story, I just put this in as well, of Musa and Khidr. We think things are good or bad, let's say, you damaged a boat, but it was good in it, right? You killed a child, there's good in that. So don't always think, apparently we may see things as bad or negative. So Binyamin being kept from his father, we may see that as a negative. And you say it's not, but there's wisdom in that, there's going to be gain from that, inshallah ta'ala. قَالُوا فَمَا جَزَاؤُهُ. So they've now said, okay, so they said, what is the punishment, the recompense, the outcome for the one in kuntum, the people of Egypt said, what's the reward of the one? So they wanted the brothers to make the decision, I'll explain why in a moment, of the one, if you're lying. So what if one of you is a thief and you're lying, what's going to happen? قالوا, the brothers said, جزاؤه من وجد في رحله, that the one who the item is found in his luggage, فهو جزاؤه, then he is his reward, meaning that he is now a captive to the king, he becomes the slave of the king, so you become a slave. كذلك نجزي الظالمين, that's how we treat the wrongdoers. فبدأ بأوعيتهم, so he started by searching their containers, their baggage. قبل وعاء أخيه, before the bag of his brother. So Yusuf Islam didn't physically go around, he had the people check, right? But Yusuf Islam deliberately made them check the brothers first before Binyamin. ثم استخرجها من وعاء أخيه, then he took it, and this is interesting, he says استخرجها, like he took it out from deep down. استخرج, أخرج means take out, أخرج يده, he took his hand out, right? He to produce something. But istakhraja means to go to deep lengths and difficulties to get something out. So what does it tell you about the cup? It was at the bottom, as we think, right? It was somewhere hidden in the bottom of the bag. It wasn't just put somewhere obvious. It was like really deep down. Why? That's how you would steal something, right? That you would make it realistic. So unlike when the brothers plotted and they brought a shirt that was not torn by blood on it, Yusuf al-Islam wasn't doing things, he was doing things properly, in other words, and convincingly, and nobody had a clue what was going on. Whereas Yaqub al-Islam understood this is damin kadhib, it's false, fake blood, right? Nobody thought anything untoward was going on. Only Yusuf al-Islam and Binyamin knew what was going on. They did it so well, in other words. That's a lesson we learned. كَذَلِكَ كِدْنَا لِيُوسُف, that is how we planned for Yusuf to get it. مَا كَانَ لِيَأْخُذَ أَخَاهُ فِي دِينِ الْمَلِكِ, he wasn't able to take his brother according to the religion of the king, the way of the king of Egypt. إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ, except that Allah willed. How so? The way that the ruling of the king or the Egyptians was the item that's been stolen, you have to pay double the amount to free the person, the thief. So the brothers could have freed Binyamin, and they would have to take him back to Yaqub alayhi salam. They would have said, no, we can't go back without Binyamin, leave our youngest son behind, brother behind. But they couldn't do that now, because they'd already said this is the outcome, and they'd been accepted. So once they found Binyamin is the one who's falsely accused, right, not actually the thief, but just apparently, they couldn't stop. They wanted to. They actually said take one of us in his place. And that's the next part, by the way, right? But that's not how it works. Yusuf Islam has a plan. Allah has a plan for Yusuf al-Islam. نَرْفَعُ دَرَجَاتٍ مَنْ نَشَاءُ, we raise in rank who we wish. وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٍ. And there is, so this plan that we made for Yusuf al-Islam was a plan of knowledge and planning and strategy, and therefore there's knowledge is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the raising of ranks here is through knowledge, by the way, right? Through planning and knowledge and understanding. But above every knowledgeable person, there is somebody more knowledgeable, ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yusuf made the brothers bring forth their own law so he could use it to keep his brother. Egyptian allowed for a payment of double the value of the item to free the thief, that's the wrong word there. Allah grants ranks through knowledge, always can learn more. That's another thing, right? What we learn from here is Allah raises ranks, i.e. learn more, and you will become more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You'll be able to do more in life, in every field of life, actually, not just in the deen, but definitely we need to invest our time in learning the deen to get forwards to progress, inshallah ta'ala. قالوا, they said, look what they said. So they lashed out, they were upset. So before they said, let's sort this out, they said something a bit upsetting, right? They said, in yasrik, if he's stolen, فَقَدْ سَرَقَ أَخٌ لَهُ مِنْ قَبْلِ, then the brother of his before has stolen as well. Who are they referring to? Yusuf alayhi salam. فَأَصَرَّهَا يُوسُفُ فِي نَفْسِهِ, but Yusuf kept that, pain or understanding that he knew it wasn't true in his heart. وَلَمْ يُبْدِيهَا لَهُمْ, he didn't respond, like he couldn't say, no, he didn't steal, because like, how do you know he didn't steal? How do you know who we're referring to, right? So he couldn't really say it, so he kept it himself. But he did say something. He said, قَالَ أَنْتُمْ شَرٌّ مَكَانًا, you're in a worse position. You should know better to say things like that. وَاللَّهُ أَعْلَمُ بِمَا, only Allah knows what you describe. Like, how can you expose a brother from before? How can you say such a thing like that, right? Allah knows best about what you say. So he did respond, but he couldn't really say the truth. What's the truth? We're going to explain in a second. قالوا يا أيها العزيز, O leader, O king, O mighty one, إن له أبا شيخا كبيرا, surely he's got a very old father. فخذ أحدنا مكانه, take one of us in place of Benjamin. We didn't need him to go back. It's going to hurt our father. They were concerned about their father, right? They loved him. And we've given a truly big promise on the name of Allah. We swore an oath that we're going to take him back. Inna naraka min al-muhsin, we see you as a good doer. They did. They saw this person who was Yusuf alayhi salam as somebody really helpful and good. Qala, Yusuf alayhi salam said, Ma'adha Allah, I seek refuge in Allah. An na'khudha illa man wajadna mata'ana indahu, that we take anybody, be wrong for us and a zulm to take anybody besides the one that we found the belongings with. In other words, taking anybody besides Benjamin is an injustice, and we can't do that. Inna idhal la zalimun, surely we would then be from the wrongdoers, right? We can't do that. So no, we're not going to entertain your request. You might think it's a good thing, or let's take somebody else, bigger, stronger, whatever. No, this is a wrong, we can't do wrong. So again, the plan was there for Yusuf alayhi salam to be able to keep Benjamin alayhi salam with him. Did you steal before as accused? No, this is the explanation of that. No, but similar to Benjamin, his paternal aunt had wanted to keep him as a child. So when Yusuf was born, and at a young age, not exactly after he was born, but at a young age, his mother passed away. So his paternal aunt, which is the sister of Yaqub alayhi salam, paternal aunt means sister of the father, wanted to keep him as a child. So she actually kept him for a while. Like Halima Sa'diyah kept the Prophet ﷺ, same kind of correlation there. And did she want to give the Prophet ﷺ back? No, let him stay with us. Why? He's a blessing, he's special, right? So Yusuf Islam, like we said, had a similar effect on people. He was somebody special, even as a little baby and boy. So she's like, no, I don't want to give him back to Yaqub, my brother, right? So Yaqub Islam didn't accept that. He wanted his son back, right? And take him to his own house and look after him. So she did what Yusuf Islam did, but wrongfully in this case, right? So she tied a valuable waistband, they said belonged to Ibrahim alayhi salam, I think, a special waistband, to Yusuf as a boy, so he would be in her custody out of love for him. Everyone learned of this. So what happened? It doesn't say exactly, well explain this. So when it was time to take Yusuf alayhi salam back, she tied a waistband underneath his clothes and let him go back to Yaqub alayhi salam. And then later, again, not instantly, later she said, oh, we're missing this special waistband, which was from the time of, which I think belonged to Ibrahim alayhi salam, it had been passed down. Where is it? And they found it on Yusuf alayhi salam. So again, she did it wrongfully, and she did it out of love for Yusuf, not to. So there was a false accusation against Yusuf alayhi salam from a childhood as well. Okay, but later on, she obviously, before she left the world, whether she was alive at this time, I don't think she was. She explained, people realized that the aunt had done this just to keep Yusuf alayhi salam. He hadn't actually stolen anything. He was a boy, he didn't know, he wasn't going to do that. This was at a young age, right? Maybe like 3-4 years of age, not even that old maybe. Everyone learned this trick of the aunt, but the brothers were lashing out and frustrated over having to lose Benjamin, so they said these words, right? So they were in an angry, annoyed state. So where did they find the energies directing themselves to? That Yusuf. Again, that negativity goes to this person. So the envy and their kind of, that negative energy is still being directed to Yusuf alayhi salam, who's long gone. So, Yusuf is hearing this, by the way, as well. So he thinks, look what, you've thrown me down the well, you got rid of me, and you killed me basically, and you still have the audacity to say this about your brother back then. So, he says, you're worse in position, sharrum makana, right? So, was Yusuf's response out loud or in his heart? That's the other thing. Was this response, فَأَسَرَّهَا يُوسُفْ فِي نَفْسِهِ وَلَمْ يُبْدِ لَهُمْ قَالَ أَنْتُمْ شَرٌّ مَكْسُورٌ. Did he say this when he says قال? Did he say out loud He hid his feelings, but he said something. Or did he actually say this in his heart? Antum sharrun Makkah, you're worse in position. Allah knows best what you're saying. So we don't actually, there's a difference of opinion whether that was said aloud or kept in the heart of Yusuf, said in the heart. You say things to yourself, oh, you guys are this, you guys are that. Right, Huqala, we say things in here, don't we? It's better to keep them in there sometimes than say them out loud. Brother's request to change the person, Yusuf acting on divine guidance has to say no. So he could have, if he wanted, but no, he had understanding and revelation that he has to go ahead with the plan, and that is to keep Benjamin alayhi salam and not allow him to go. With certain these things, don't give up hope. That's not part of who we are. Allah is with us. That means anything can be done, and that's the lesson we learn from this story of Yaqub and Yusuf alayhi salam. So they went back. They were searching. They went back to Egypt again. They went back obviously for their food and drink. Still the difficult times as they were. فَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَيْهِ. So when they entered, they've gone back to Egypt and they entered on Yusuf. So they're now going back again. Okay, again it jumps to that scene. قَالُوا يَا أَيُّهَا الْعَزِيزُ مَسَّنَا وَأَهْلَنَا الدُّرُّ. Difficulty, harm has afflicted us and our families. وَجِئْنَا بِبِضَاعَةٍ مُزْجَاةٍ. We've come with a mixed up muzj, a mixture of goods, meaning good and bad. It's not selling very well. Muzjah can mean it's not really sellable. So we've come to you with something, the bad coins or the bad goods we've got, but we expect good of you. أَوْفِنَا الْكَيْلَ, but give us in full. وَتَصَدَّقْ عَلَيْنَا, and be charitable to us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَجْزِي الْمُتَصَدِّقِينَ. Allah rewards those who give sadaqah. So we see you as a good person to do this. Here is now the time that Yusuf alayhi salam reveals all. He engages them. Again, the full conversation as I mentioned, it's not instantly that, they figured out this is Yusuf, so let's go through it in some way. Let's say I might have been. قال هل علمتم ما فعلتم بيوسف وأخيه إذ أنتم جاهلون. Do you remember what you did to Yusuf and his brother when you were wrongdoers? Jahilun means ignorant, but it means wrongdoers. You were behaving badly. They didn't say instantly this, right? The following, right? قالوا أئنك أنت يوسف. No, they got to there. It wasn't as soon as Yusuf said, do you know what he did with Yusuf and his brother? Oh, you're Yusuf. No. How does he know about Yusuf alayhi salam? How does he know about the brother? How does he know about our plans? Who is this person? Oh, are you Yusuf? So it was like maybe a few moments, maybe there's a conversation. We don't know what took place, but it wasn't instant. The Quranic discourse is quick shifts, right? It's like editing we do today, the scenes go on, everything like that. Allah presents it in that way, because that's what keeps people's attention. That's what is the meaningful parts of the story. Brothers would have been shocked. How does he know about what he did? So they would have raised these questions. Where is he coming from? How does he know about this? Nobody knows apart from our family. This is a story of Canaan and Palestine. He hasn't reached Egypt. Nobody knows about this in Egypt. He's a leader, So confusion, looking at each other, what is going on? So this is what happened actually in some of the tafsirs. They started looking at each other and having conversation. What's going on? And then they thought, let's go back to him. Are you Yusuf? Are you Yusuf? Because they obviously thought maybe he's Yusuf, the appearance, etc. They remember seeing him as a young boy, few years age, 4, 5, 6 maybe, and then they see him maybe in his 30s, 40s. It's not easy to recognize the same person, right? Although Yusuf Islam was beautiful and handsome, it's still not the same in terms of features and growing up and changing. Some people are totally different after 5 years, right? Features change or people mature, etc. قالوا إنك لأنت يوسف. They said, are you Yusuf alayhi salam? Like they asked the question, إنك قال أنا يوسف. Yes, he said, I am Yusuf. وهذا أخي, this is my brother. قد من الله علينا. His first response to them isn't, you punished us, Allah tested us, Allah has blessed us. After all what's happened, you could go through the all. You say, you did this to us, you did that to us, you did this to us, we had to go through this, Allah tested us. No, the first thing Yusuf says is, قد من الله علينا. Allah has blessed us, has favored us. إنه, this is it, this is the line I want you to remember. إنه من يتقي ويصبر. For surely the one who is patient or has taqwa and is patient, فإن الله لا يضيء أجر المحسنين. He didn't even say then those are the people that get the rewards. No, then Allah does not squander the reward of the good doers. So to be a good doer, we need key ingredients, elements. We need to have taqwa, God consciousness. Are we aware of what Allah wants from us? Are we obeying Allah? Are we aware of the limits set by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Are we patient in what He tests us with? Do we have the endurance and the perseverance? If we just get frustrated and lash out and give up every 2 minutes, every second day, every week, and patience not just in our avoiding or being patient with difficulties and hardships, but patience in our prayers, in Ramadan with our fasts, in our Taraweeh. If we give up every other day, that's lack of patience. The reward isn't for those people that give up in their worship, that give up in dealing with hard times, that give up in abstaining from sin. All these are forms of endurance and patience that are required. Then if you have that, and Yusuf al-Islam had that, we didn't say we had that, he said, those who have taqwa and sabr, then surely Allah does not cause the reward of the good doers, the muhsineen, to go to waste. These are the good doers in real life. قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ, by Allah, they said, لَقَدْ آثَرَكَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا. They admitted, in other words, Allah has favored you above us. He's preferred you above us. وَإِن كُنَّا لَخَاطِئِينَ, and surely we were the wrongdoers. So even they admit their wrongdoing now. They acknowledge and admit what they've done is wrong. They apologize, in other words. You're better than us. قَالَ, Yusuf says, لَا تَثْرِيبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْيَوْمِ, there is no reproach or blame on you today. I'm not going to take you to account. I can tell you, I can even mention all the things. I'm not even going to mention any. لَا تَثْرِيبَ, there's no blame, no mention of anything to you today. يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ, may Allah forgive you. He made dua for them. وَهُوَ أَرْحَمُ الرَّاحِمِينَ, and He's the most merciful of those who show mercy. So we realize, and this is true strength, they say, Al-afu inda al-maqdira, pardon is at the time of power. You can pardon your enemies who are subjugating you. When you have the chance to subjugate them and punish them and teach them a lesson and retaliate, even in justification, and you forgive, then that is real pardon and forgiveness. That is a real sign of magnanimity and honor. اذهبوا بقميصي هذا, take this. So he goes, again, they had a conversation, they sat down, reminisced, But then when they sent them back, okay, now go back to Canaan and take this shirt of mine. The third time we see now the shirt of Yusuf. And what was the first two? First one was the blood, the fake blood. Yep. Second one was it was torn and the innocence was proven by it. And the third one now is going to be a means of cure for the blindness or the condition of Yaqub alayhi salam. فَأَلْقُوهُ عَلَى وَجْهِ أَبِي, and throw it, place it upon the face of my father. يَأْتِ بَصِيرًا, he will turn, he will come back into his eyesight will return. وَأْتُونِي بِأَهْلِكُمْ, and bring me all of your family, أَجْمَعِينَ, without anyone missing. And in words, every one of you has to move to Egypt with me. Right? That's the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Yusuf reminds them of who he is and how his father, grandfather. So there was in the conversation, he mentions that Allah has blessed me and my father and grandfather Yusuf, Yaqub al-Islam, Ishaq al-Islam, Ibrahim al-Islam, and brother and Benjamin, we have been tested, and so our forefathers were tested, and no one among them is a thief. Right? He makes this point, by the way, in the commentary. It says this, right? Because he was accused when he was a child. Benjamin's been put in that situation. No, Benjamin didn't steal. I kept him. This is all Allah's plan. I kept him by the plan of Allah. No reproach, same word used on the conquest of Makkah by the Prophet ﷺ. So that sentence, where there's La tathriba alaykum al-yawm, that was the words the Prophet used to the Quraysh. And when he conquered Makkah, he came in and they worried, what's the Prophet going to do? He said, La tathriba alaykum al-yawm, there's no reproach on you today. The Makkans would kill the companions, would try to assassinate the Prophet ﷺ, killed Sayyidina Hamza, had wars of Badr, Uhud, Khandaq. Prophet is now in a position to do whatever he wants with them and forgives them all. Doesn't take anybody to task. So he mentions the words of Yusuf alayhi salam. Again, I wanted to make a point of that part of the ayah. قَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَيْنَا إِنَّهُ مَنْ يَتَّقِي وَيَصْبِرْ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُضِيعُ أَجْرَ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. There's many lessons to take, and I wouldn't say just take this one, but if there is one you're going to take, there's this one. Have taqwa and patience, and that's where every good will come from. Yusuf al-Islam had taqwa, he was aware of Allah, he believed in Allah, he trusted in Allah. Taqwa doesn't mean just fear Allah, it means you were fully with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as possible, and bear up with what He puts you through. He realized Allah is testing me, and obviously with revelation knew more so, but that's for us as well. We know the promise of Allah is true, that the paradise is for the believers, so victory is for those who obey Him, who have وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, the final affair outcome is for the muttaqeen. So we have to have patience and endurance with all of what comes our way, inshallah ta'ala. These words that I'm mentioning above are the crux of the story and the meaning we need to derive for our own lives. Right? This is where we need to find inspiration from in the story of Yusuf alayhi salam and the Prophet ﷺ and all the stories that we go through. They should strengthen our hearts to continue, inshallah ta'ala. The two qualities of taqwa and sabr, right? And we can talk about them more in the future in classes we have, and we do talk about these particular traits of a believer, taqwa, sabr and other traits. وَلَمَّا فَصَلَ الْإِيرُ, and when the caravan, the group that was coming back, so the brothers are coming back to Canaan now, right? So fasala means to separate, I depart from Egypt to Canaan. At that time, what happened? قَالَ أَبُوهُمْ, where's their father? Palestine. Where's the caravan? Egypt. What does the father say? إِنِّي لَأَجِدُ رِيحَ يُوسُف, I smell the fragrance of Yusuf alayhi salam, right? From thousands, hundreds of miles away, right? لَوْلَا أَن تُفَنِّدُونَ, and you're going to criticize me, you're going to call me a liar. Tafnid is to say somebody said it, making things up, let's say, right? لَوْلَا تُفَنِّدُونَ, right? You're going to do that to me. But I can feel it. Yusuf alayhi salam is out there. Where's this from? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why didn't he feel it before? Of course, Allah is granting him this now. قَالُوا تَاللَّهِ إِنَّكَ لَفِي ضَلَالِكَ الْقَدِيمِ. Say, by Allah, you're still in your previous, error, or here, like we said before, you're engrossed love. You're just blinded by that love. Still, why, what's going on, right? So this was the people around him in Canaan. فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ, so then the glad tiding came, i.e. the brothers arrived in Canaan, and they told them, oh, we found Yusuf, we found Benjamin, we're going to go back. We've got this shirt for you, the next thing, right? أَلْقَاهُ عَلَى وَجْهِ, and he dropped it, the shirt, placed it on his face, i.e. Yaqub alayhi salam's face. فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا, and he returned to his sight, or his sight returned, right? So he became able to see properly again. Again, that could mean he got away from all the emotions and was, his insight, if you like, right? He was thinking straight again. That's hard to say that for a prophet. They all think straight, right? But he was not like in that pain anymore, so he became back to normal. قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ, he said to them, the sons, did I not say to you, إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, I know from Allah what you don't know. قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَا, they realized the father knew. استغفر لنا ذنوبنا, seek Allah's forgiveness for our sins. إنا كنا خاطئين, we admit to our wrongs, we're admitting it now. قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي, I will inshallah seek forgiveness of my Lord for you. إنه هو الغفور الرحيم, surely he is the most forgiving, the most merciful. فلما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أبويه وقالوا ادخلوا مصر إن شاء الله آمنين. So then the scene switches back to them arriving in Egypt. All the family now go to Egypt and arrive. And what happens? Yusuf alayhi salam, he brings his parents first to him before doing anything else. He honors the parents, bring them first. Then he says, "Udkhulu Misra insha'Allah amin." Enter Egypt, insha'Allah, secure. So smell of Yusuf from many hundreds of miles away. When it was in the, this is the question you may have asked. I didn't really put it out there, did I? Yeah, when in the well in Canaan, why didn't Yaqub alayhi salam say, I can smell the riha of Yusuf, right? It's a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah was now telling Yaqub alayhi salam before the news arrived that there's good to come. So it's the precursors, as it says here, as a gift and solace to the Yaqub, to let Yaqub know things are about to get better. And this is how it works in life as well. Allah gives us signs sometimes, not instantly things are going to get better, but you're on the track. Yeah, there's a piece of calm after the storm, as they say. That was tough, but alhamdulillah, Allah's giving us a sign. It happens after when people pass away. Sometimes you see them in a dream after they've passed away. It's a good sign, you see them, you see yourself sitting with them, talking at the table, having tea together, or maybe doing something in the masjid together. Oh, I saw my dad, granddad, somebody who passed away after, it was a nice, that's a glad tiding. Gives you the ability, the strength to move on and obviously get through the bereavement. It's not easy for those who've lost loved ones. Right? That's one example, by the way. There's other things. So these are, solaces and gifts Allah gives for those who go through struggles. We should remember that. Sight returning, miracle of Yusuf, said to be the same shirt Ibrahim had when in the fire. So it said that this shirt was also passed down by Ibrahim alayhi salam, and it was one he was wearing. And when he's in the fire, some scholars said it was just not just a shirt of Yusuf, a shirt of Yusuf alayhi salam. And why is that special? Because he's a prophet. And if he was wearing the shirt, it's a special shirt, just like if Ibrahim was wearing a shirt in the fire and he didn't burn, it was a special shirt, right? So anything connected to the Anbiya is blessed, is something that we can take goodness from, like the Sahaba did with the Prophet ﷺ as well, through his blessed hair, through his saliva, through his perspiration, through his clothing, prayer later, why? So he said to his children, I will seek forgiveness of you later. Why? More concentration, focus. Like, it's not always make dua for me, start making dua right now in the class. You know, somebody might say, make dua for me, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam. I'm not going to stop here and make dua for him, but make dua for him or her later when you've got focus and you can make a sincere, proper dua where you're asking Allah, attentively focused, understanding what you're saying. Otherwise, we do dua, oh Allah forgive him, and not really a dua, is it? It's just kind of words, just convenience, just say a few words, make him happy. No, make du'as properly, is the words, right? And also he was waiting for the last third of the night. Kind of all the tafsir say this. Why? And we're coming to Ramadan, or the last 10 nights of Ramadan, this is the best time to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in particular to seek forgiveness. وَبِالْأَسْحَارِ هُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. The sahar time you were in, the suhoor, in the plural is ashar. Allah says the pious servants of Allah, at the time of sahar, they are doing what? يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. So before Fajr, Tahajjud the time, your suhoor time, you're supposed to be seeking the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a hadith in Bukhari where Allah says, it's a hadith Qudsi, is there anybody who seeks forgiveness that I may forgive him? This happens at the last third of the night. So a special call from Allah, if you like, because there is in the hadith, and response of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the people making dua at that time, especially for forgiveness. Is there anybody who has a need that I may fulfill his need? So Yaqub Islam was waiting for that time to make special dua, because they're his sons. He wants to make a special, sincere dua for them. He said, look, I'm going to make dua for you in my tahajjud tonight. That's what I'm going to make sure. I remember you, you're my sons, and I know you've done wrong, and Allah forgive you, and we'll make dua for you at that time. So then Yusuf alayhi salam rafa'a abawayhi al-arsh. So here's the thing, right? And I want you to tell me what's going on. He raises his parents, so being his father and his stepmother, on the throne. وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا, and they all prostrate before him. Can you see something that doesn't fit there? Not just prostration, something else. The prostration we're going to talk about, that's the next slide by the way. Ruling of prostration is there, but I'm going to talk about that 100%. Yeah, but something else doesn't fit the context of this. What is sajda? It's going down. What did he do with his parents? رَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ الْأَرْشِ. So how could he put his parents on a throne and then all of a sudden did they jump down and prostrate? So who's prostrating? So this is the thing. Most of the scholars say the parents did not prostrate. It was the brothers, the 11 brothers that prostrated. Because the parents are, although they, Yusuf al-Islam may be high rank prophet, I don't know. Yaqub is a prophet as well. And it's not wrong to prostrate, we'll talk about that in a minute. But he's a father. The father prostration of the son doesn't really fit. So in the beginning of the surah, it says, إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ. The scholars said the reason why Yusuf al-Islam repeated رَأَيْتُهُمْ, he could have said, I saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars prostrating to me. He doesn't. He said, I saw them prostrating to me. I saw the sun, the moon, 11 stars. رَأَيْتُهُمْ, I saw them, li, to me, prostrating. He repeated the pronoun hum to separate between the things, not to combine them. So in other words, I saw the sun and the moon, and I saw 11 stars. And I saw the 11 stars prostrating to me, the celestial bodies. So that also fits in with this part of the ayah where he placed his parents on the throne, besides him, in other words, because he was like a king figure as well, leadership figure, and the brothers prostrated. There is not a problem with the prostration. We're going to explain that now. Although as Muslims it's good to feel there's a problem. By the way, it's not wrong that, it's prostration. I feel a bit awkward about it. Alhamdulillah, that's good. That shows we've got iman and we know what's right and wrong. Prostration to other Allah is not a good thing. Okay, we'll explain it in a minute because it is a good thing here. وَقَالَ يَا أَبَتِي. So he's speaking to his father now. They're prostrated. Why is he speaking to his father in sajda for? His father is with him. So the context of this description indicates the father and the mother had not prostrated because they were on the throne with him speaking to them, and the brothers had prostrated. So he said, oh my dear father, this is the explanation of my dream, this is the interpretation of my dream, min qabl, from before. قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا. Allah made it truth. وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. And he's done good to me because he took me out of prison. Oh no, We'd say, Allah put me in prison. What does Yusuf al-Islam say? Allah took me out of prison. He doesn't mention the fact that he went to prison. He mentions the fact that he was taken out of prison. It was a test to be in prison, but the blessing that I want to acknowledge is being taken out of prison. وَجَاءَ بِكُمْ. He didn't say, he separated our family. No, he brought you to us. We united us. Praise Allah for the positives. Yes, even the negatives are from Allah, but He's not to be praised for them or complained about them. We recognize them, so yes, I was separated from my family, but don't in the time of praise mention the good things. وَجَاءَ بِكُمْ مِنَ الْبَدْوِ مِنْ بَعْدِ أَنْ نَزَغَ الشَّيْطَانُ بَيْنِي وَبَيْنِ إِخْوَتِي. He brought you together from the wilderness after Shaitan had sown, nazaga means to prod and get involved and whisper to, between us and my brothers, me and my brothers, me and my brothers. إِنَّ رَبِّي لَطِيفٌ لِمَا يَشَاءُ. Surely Allah is subtle in ways He wishes. So now He's referring to the difficulties. He gave us difficulties as well, but that's the subtlety of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْعَلِيمُ الْحَكِيمُ. Surely He is the all-knowing, the all-wise. He works in His wise ways for us to learn from. Before we talk about that part, let's go back to the ayah, okay? The prostration. So ruling of prostration for worship was only ever allowed to Allah alone. So Adam alayhi salam, even Shaitan, the angels, if they prostrated out of worship, if we prostrate out of worship, if Musa alayhi salam prostrated out of worship, anybody prostrate out of worship from the creation, it can only be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, prostrating to other than Allah out of worship, this is the key word here, is shirk, haram, wrong, shirk, blasphemous, okay? But out of reverence, in previous times it was allowed in practice. The two famous examples are Adam alayhi salam and the angels, and Yusuf alayhi salam and his brothers, right? It was a prostration of reverence, greeting, as we mentioned in the beginning of these classes as well, not out of worship. So you can even today bow to somebody, like the king and the queen or whatever, right? We're not allowed to do that anymore. So it was allowed even previously, and people still do it in the world, bowing as in bending your back down out of reverence or respect, I should say, reverence as well, of somebody is fine in the sense of previous ummahs and their rulings. In our time, Islamic law, the Prophet prohibited that to occur. So there's no bowing out of respect to somebody anymore. Out of respect. Bowing out of worship has always been haram, and never was there a leeway for it, okay? So let me ask you a question. When you go to martial arts and the sensei wants you to bow out of respect to each other, are you allowed to? No. You're not worshipping your sensei when you bow to him, you're respecting him. You're not allowed to respect him that way. Salute him, hand on chest, I love you, but you can't bend down to acknowledge him. If you go one day to visit the king, probably William, not Charles, and you get an OBE, MBE, whatever, right? Good luck on that. Are you allowed to bow to the king? No. Okay, it's not worship, but we're saying it's not worship. Bowing out to anybody out of worship is like the craziest thing you could ever do. It's shirk, right? Don't do that. Don't even think of doing that. But we may feel like, bowing somebody out of respect for them, elders and stuff. No, don't bow. You're not supposed to bow to anybody out of respect. What is bowing? What is prostrating? Bending the back. So just bending down a little bit is not allowed. I explained, remember last time, if you do bend down to kiss somebody's hand, if you do bend down to help somebody, to touch their feet, that's not bowing to them. You can't get down without bending your back, right? So that's doing something else, which to get there you've got to bow down, but you're not bowing to them. So respecting somebody by doing something of kindness for them is perfectly fine, even if that involves getting down to a lower level. So that's not a problem, lowering ourselves for others or humbling ourselves before elders, etc. The act of deliberately bowing our backs to somebody as an act of reverence is not allowed. So probably the most vivid kind of time that would happen is the martial arts, because literally that's exactly what they do. They bow to each other, by the way. It's not just one way, out of respect. You might think it's a good thing and it's a nice way of showing respect. It was in the past, by the way, but in our Sharia, the wisdom that Allah knows and the ruling the Prophet gave us, it's not allowed. So we just can't do it. So speak to your sensei, say, look, in my religion we can't bow out of reverence to anybody. It's not because I don't respect you, I fully respect you, I'll jump up and down for you, I'll do star jumps for you, and I'll buy you a cake or something. I love you, you're my sensei, right? You're my teacher. But I can't bow to you. That's not how we show reverence in Islam. And sensei, if another Muslim tells you it's allowed, he's got a misunderstanding, because people might say to him, it's only reverence, it's only like a little bow, it's not like you're worshipping him. You can't worship anybody else aside from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you can't show reverence by bowing to somebody as well, as per a haram halal law. The bowing out of worship is iman and kufr levels, right? That's dangerous. The bowing out of reverence is haram halal, it's haram. Yes, Sayyid.
With lowering your head.
Yeah, lowering the head is not as bad. So the neck isn't part of bowing. Yeah, so if you like nod your head, that's okay. Yeah, so like that, you did that to your sensei or to somebody. Let's see somebody, you nod to them. That's okay. It's not bowing. Bowing is bending the back. This is your back here, the vertebrae, right? When you bring that down from, then you're bowing. That you shouldn't do that. So if somebody goes by, you shouldn't bow down to them like that, or gesture with your back. But nodding, hand signals, that's all fine. Yeah. So nodding is okay. Yeah, nodding is fine. So say to him, look, we can nod. Yeah. So nodding is okay. Not bowing the back. Yep. So nodding is okay. Yeah. Use the nodding. I don't know if they consider that a proper greeting or in martial arts thing or whatever, right? But if they can accept that, that's a good one. Nodding. We understood that concept. Yeah. Any questions on that? Don't get confused. Okay. There is a difference between bowing out of worship and bowing out of reverence. Both are not allowed now, but one is kufr and one is just haram. Okay? And by the way, so things which are based off belief never change. That's why I put that. It's always been haram. It's always been shirk. It's always been, disobedient or, against the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But things which are haram and halal change over time. The previous ummahs, they could drink alcohol. We can't drink that now. Previous ummahs had other rulings. They've changed now. So when it comes to halal and haram rules, not beliefs, there changes what Allah wants us to do. We follow Allah's commands. The Sharia, that's it. Alhamdulillah. When it comes to beliefs, whatever Musa alayhi salam believed is what Isa alayhi salam believed, is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam believed, is what we believe. The faith is the same. There's one God, there's a day of judgment, there's a barzakh, there's angels, there's jinn. Prostrating to other than Allah is shirk. Calling upon others besides Allah for help independently is shirk, etc. They never changes. The blasphemy, kufr, iman, all these concepts are fixed and never changed because they are fixed things, right? They don't have a change, the possibility of change. Like, was Allah any time not one? Was there any time that nobody believed in paradise and then we started believing in it? Which prophet started the belief in paradise? No, it was always the case before anybody believed in anything that these are the beliefs that human beings are going to have. The creation is going to have to believe in a God that's all powerful, all knowing, etc. So beliefs never change because they're realities that are fixed. Rulings change due to circumstances, due to Allah's wisdom, if you like. So yeah, do remember the difference. Yusuf had sent many gifts to his family and told them to come. So by the time he says, bring your family, he sent a lot of things for them to come well dressed and etc. Right? So he obviously would send a lot to them. Honors parents first, then starts talk and mentions the dream coming true. Recollects the blessings of Allah, do not complain of the difficulties. So his style was to remember the blessings. Allah is the subtle one. Right? Latiful lima yasha. So this name of Allah brings ease into our lives in ways we may not understand. And then it finishes, this is what Samir recited, the final part. And again, I've singled out this line because I think this is also hugely important, right? This summarizes our lives, to be honest. Rabbi qad ataytani min al-mulki. Oh my Lord, you've given me of this kingdom an immense amount. وَعَلَّمْتَنِي مِن تَأْوِيلِ الْأَحَادِيثِ. And you taught me the interpretation of dreams and gave me power and blessings through that. فَاطِرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. Oh, originator of the heavens and the earth. أَنْتَ وَلِيِّي فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. You are my protector in this life and the next. In other words, we've got all the dunya now. It doesn't matter to me, Yusuf, I'm saying. You are my protector. That's what matters to me. Tawaffani Musliman. I want to die a Muslim. That's what matters to me. وَالْحِقْنِي بِالصَّالِحِينَ. And join me with the righteous. That's what matters to me. So after all what Yusuf Islam has given, power, strength, resources, wealth, what's his main concern? His iman, his piety, his relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his acknowledging the blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've been given all this as a blessing from Allah. I know I have to understand that. And that's the lesson for us here. So this is our lives. As much as we try to achieve in life, and we should, and we get all the blessings, it's all about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is dua of Yusuf, is a huge lesson for us spiritually. Even after getting all the dunya, what really matters to him. He acknowledges and thanks Allah. So gratitude and acknowledgement, it matters. But ultimately all he wants is Allah's protection and to die a Muslim. Allah being your protector doesn't mean ease in life. It means Allah is always with you, looking after you, in His wisdom. And be resurrected with the righteous. Al-hiqni bis-salihin. So wherever we get to, that's the question I've put here. What about us? What do we want at the end of our lives? We've all got ambitions. Maybe we haven't got ambitions, right? But and it's not wrong, have the ambitions. We've all got goals. We want to achieve things with our family, with our personal lives, with our projects, with, goals we have, passions we have. But ultimately, look at the example of Yusuf alayhi salam and all the Anbiya, all the pious. Their ultimate goal after achieving many great things was to please Allah, to be with Allah, to be with the righteous, to be resurrected as a Muslim, to die as a Muslim and be resurrected with the righteous. And then it finishes the surah with this final passage. ذَلِكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الْغَيْبِ. That is from the news of the unseen. نُوحِيهِ إِلَيْكَ. We reveal to you. So it's a revelation, not you making it up or you finding it out. It's a revelation. مَا كُنْتَ لَدَيْهِمْ إِذْ أَجْمَعُوا. You were not present when they agreed to do what they did. أَمْرَهُمْ وَهُمْ يَمْكُرُونَ. They were plotting, the brother of Yusuf. وَمَا أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتَ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. But even though it's a revelation to you and you've told them all this, most people, even if you tried your best, would not become believers. وَمَا تَسْأَلُهُمْ عَلَيْهِ مِنْ أَجْرٍ. And you do not ask them for any reward. إِنْ وَإِلَّا ذِكْرٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. It is but a reminder for those who, for the worlds, لِلْعَالَمِينَ. وَكَأَيٍّ مِّنْ آيَةٍ فِي السَّمَوَاتِ الْأَرْضِ يُمَرُّونَ عَلَيْهَا. And how many an ayah, a sign, they go by. يَمُرُّونَ عَلَيْهَا. The disbelievers. So Allah is now referring to those who don't believe, who reject. How many you can send them, you can show them many ayat and signs. يَمُرُّونَ وَهُمْ عَنْهَا مُعْرِضُونَ. But they just turn away from them. وَمَا يُؤْمِنُ أَكْثَرُهُم بِاللَّهِ. And most of them don't believe in Allah. إِلَّا وَهُمْ مُشْرِكُونَ. Except that they associate partners. Allah talking about the Quraysh. أَفَأَمِنُوا أَن تَأْتِيَهُمْ غَاشِيَةٌ مِّنْ عَذَابِ اللَّهِ أَوْ تَأْتِيَهُمْ السَّاعَةُ بَغْتَةً وَهُمْ لَا يَشْعُرُونَ. Do they feel secure that a punishment will not come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that the hour will come all of a sudden while they are not aware? Meaning, do they not see what happened to those before them, as it mentions in the next passage as well, I believe. A reminder that the Prophet receives revelation, all those details are from Allah. No teacher, no witnessing, no book, only divine revelation. That's the important thing. The question from the Jewish community, the Quraysh wanting to challenge, and the answers coming are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After all this surah, all the details given to you, believe in the Prophet now. He's told you your answers, you've seen it, you've got information you didn't even have before. What's going to be the response? Not asking for any recompense is a confrontation. The response is these people reject the clear signs and turn away. Even after all of this, we've given them the answers, we've shown them the signs, they're still going to turn away. In other words, don't let that stress you out. You'll try your best, but people will reject. Warning of a punishment if they remain obstinate, which they did, and they will. And then the final passage is قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ. Say to them, this is my path that I call to Allah. عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ. Upon insight. أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. I do this and those who follow me. وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Glory be to Allah, I'm not from the mushrikeen. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن قَبْلِكَ إِلَّا رِجَالًا. We did not send before you except men, i.e. messengers. نُوحِي إِلَيْهِمْ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْقُرَى. Who we gave revelation to from the people of the cities. In other words, people who were known, people who had status. The prophets were sent to large civilizations. أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ. Have they not travelled upon the earth? فَيَنْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. And seen how the outcome was. Again, reminder that there were other people before them, the Aad, Thamud and others, and how their end was. وَلَدَارُ الْآخِرَةِ خَيْرٌ لِلَّذِينَ اتَّقَوْا أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. And the abode of the hereafter is better for those who have fear of Allah, who have taqwa. Do you not understand? Are we alert, aware of what we are doing? Like, the Prophet said, I call to Allah ala basira, knowing what I do, on insight. In other words, are we aware that we should be calling Allah, others to God? Are we aware of our own situation? Are we part of those where the Prophet said, Ana wa man ittaba'ani, me and those who follow me? We want to be the followers of the Prophet ﷺ, we've got to follow in his footsteps. Messengers were sent from people, from cities. This is to say not angels, as you kuffar think or request, and known people in society. And that's the response to that, which is an accusation or a claim or request made by the kuffar throughout the Quran. It's mentioned in several places that they even say, why is an angel not sent? I think it's going to be mentioned in this surah as well, or is it the beginning of the next one? But it's mentioned in several parts of the Quran. They ask for an angel. Why is it an angel sent to us? Why is it a man? Allah is telling them, we sent messengers and revealed to them revelation, and they were men, and they came from towns and cities like yourselves, and they were known to people. That's how it works, in other words. Follow these people. If you look around you at people, they have gone, meaning the previous people, and what happened to them? Nothing remains. Their power, their dunya, their status, their kingdoms, their empires, they don't have them anymore, and even the empires have crumbled and gone, right? Most empires don't last for more than couple of 100 years, by the way. Even European, Western empires, they've not been around for that long, like in control. And hopefully they'll end soon as well, the oppression they mete out on the world, the supremacy they think they have over others, right? It'll end one day, right? They've only had it for a few decades or a bit more maybe. But, that's life. We've got to have times of that, and then it goes, and that's the lesson we need to learn. So what then if it is the case that everybody dies out and moves on, then what's better? That you prepare for the akhirah, because you're going to be among the people that leave this world. So remember that working for the akhirah is what is the ultimate goal. حتى إذا استيأس الرسل وظنوا أنهم قد كذبوا جاءهم نصرنا فنجي من نشاء ولا يرد بأسنا عن القوم المجرمين. And at that stage, or a stage came when the people were obstinate and doing things, that the punishment of Allah, the messengers were despairing or in doubt, istay'asu, of when the punishment of Allah would come to the disbelievers. We don't, because they didn't know. This is one thing that was not given to the messengers, is when the punishment is. Which is why Yunus alayhi salam led his people. He didn't know when the punishment was coming, he left before, right? So when is the punishment coming? Only Allah knows, right? Even they asked the Prophet to bring the punishment. Say Allah brings the punishment, I don't know when it's going to happen, right? So this is a common theme, that the punishment of the bad doers, the evil doers, those who reject the Prophets, is with Allah alone. And when it happens, is His choice. So we don't decide. We've got to do our best in regards to guiding, helping, sticking to the truth, adhering to the justice and right things to do, right? So they thought that أنهم قد كذبوا جاءهم نصرنا, that they've been denied by the people, nothing's happening. All of a sudden our victory for them came. Don't worry, it'll come, but at the time Allah wants. In other words, that's the lesson. It doesn't come when you want it. It's going to come when Allah wants it. فَنُجِّيَ مَن نَشَاءَ, and we saved from the disbelievers or the wrongdoers who we wished. The Prophets were also saved, and with them who we wished. وَلَا يُرَدُّ بَأْسُنَا, nobody can push away our ba's, our might, from the wrongdoing people. In other words, they have their time, don't worry. They will be, dealt with by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لَقَدْ كَانَ فِي قَصَصِهِمْ عِبْرَةٌ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, surely in their stories is a lesson for the people of insight. Ibra. ما كان حديثا يفترى, it's not a made up story. ولكن تصديق الذي بين يديه, it is a confirmation of what has come before it. وتفصيل كل شيء, and it's a guidance for everything, a detailing of everything. وهدى, and a source of guidance, i.e. the revelation we're talking about here, the Quran, and their stories. وَرَحْمَةً لِقَوْمٍ يُؤْمِنُونَ, and a mercy for the believing people. So finally we come to the conclusion, that's the end of the surah. The messengers did not know when the punishment of Allah would come, so they could not say to the rejecting people with any surety of the end. But when the punishment came from Allah and victory for the messengers, nothing could or can hold it back. There are lessons, ibra, to be taken from their stories. And I've highlighted the word because it's an important word. Abra means the tear. Abratan, teardrop. When you cry, it's called abra. Why do you cry? Because of internal emotions, right? Something going inside. Ibra is that internal process of taking heed, of reflecting. I'tibar as well from this. I'tibar, to take a lesson, to take thought, to be affected by what's going on around you, by the Palestinian people today, by the people of Syria before, and Kashmir, and things happen in Afghanistan, the earthquakes in Morocco and Turkey. We have to take i'tibar, we have to take lessons and derive meanings and strength from what's going on around us. That's what Allah wants us to do. فَاعْتَبِرُوا يَا أُولِي الْأَبْصَارِ, then take a heed or take a reminder, learn from what happens to the people, or you people of insight, absar, people of albab, of deep thinking. Important one meaning is internal impact, another is learn from the patterns that let's say learn from the patterns of what happens in their story, especially the consequences. Quran details everything we do in this life, worship, social life, interactions, governance. This is all guidance and mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Finally, this is what I was talking about earlier, and I said I'll mention at the end. Abu Mansur rahmatullah alayhi said, Al-Maturidi, the great Mufassir, the purpose behind the whole, Aqidah scholar as well, the purpose behind the famous Tafsir, the purpose behind the whole of Surah Yusuf and the story of Yusuf narrated therein is to comfort the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All this is to tell him that his sufferings at the hands of his people have been the lot of past prophets too, but in the end Allah has enabled his prophets to overcome, and in his case too, this is what is going to happen. The promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is true. But just like Yusuf alayhi salam wasn't given an instant, he was given the glad tidings as a child in the dream. and it took maybe 20, 30, 40 years to get to that result, right? And this is what the Prophet said, you may see a dream, but it comes true many years later. Primary example is Yusuf alayhi salam. Even the Prophet, when he saw the dream of doing the Umrah, it happened a year later. They went to do Umrah, they got stopped, they went back. A year later the dream came true. Even they said the Prophet saw dreams of his grandsons being martyred, Sayyidina Hussein being martyred. I think he saw somebody chewing on his flesh or something, and he interpreted it to mean that one of his grandsons is going to be, attacked and killed, Sayyidina Hussein. But he saw the dream while he was alive. This didn't happen until like 40 plus years after the passing of the Prophet himself, right? So sometimes a dream is seen now, but it takes many years to manifest. In other words, we are given glad tidings, good dreams. We are given glad tidings, promises, revelation from Allah to the Prophet himself. To us even, the promise of the Akhirah, the promise of victory, the promise of success. It's all with us. When I say us, I don't mean that we have a monopoly over it. It's with the people of truth, with the people who submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no rightful group here other than people who are submitters, Muslims, people who have Iman, not any ethnicity or nationality or age group or gender. Anybody who submits to Allah and obeys Him and follows the Anbiya has that promise and has rightfully gained the promise of Allah and believes in that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll get there, but does that mean it's going to be plain sailing? Does that mean it's going to be all easy? No. We learn from Surah Yusuf and all the stories of the prophets. It's going to be a challenge, it's going to have its ups and downs, but take each step as it comes, take each challenge as it comes, and find strength from these stories to deal with it. That's the biggest thing we need to take from this. And to deal with it, we need to remember Allah, do dhikr of Allah, ask Allah for help, like Yusuf Islam did. Be God conscious, have patience, like find strength through patience, endurance, right? Realize there's good to come from difficulties. Don't shut down. Yusuf Islam never shut down and gave up. Always take steps to remove the harms, take steps to defend yourself. If you're falsely accused, speak up for your innocence, yes. But that doesn't mean everyone will listen to you. It's very hard. By the way, that's probably one of the hardest things to take in all of this for me personally, right? Is when he was put in jail, when he was falsely accused. Just the false accusation is just, for me, that's horrific. I don't like anybody being falsely accused or that. It's just so hard for me to take that one personally, as for myself. I think that is one of the horrible things that can happen to somebody when they're falsely accused of something, whether it's theft or bad behavior or crime or whatever. False accusations really hurt, like they really hurt. That's how I am anyway. So yeah, it's all of these things were tough, but that's what we got to learn from. Sometimes it's tough for you internally, sometimes it's physically, sometimes it's family that are suffering, and it's a lot of personal connections. But we've got to stick to the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, believe in that. Remember, don't give up hope. That's not an option we have. We have to have hope as belief. Iman gives us hope. Iman is hope. Faith in something is hoping in that thing. Trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I could list off all the lessons again and the things, but I think we'll finish